good afternoon or good evening or whatever day it is for you guys. Howdy folks, how's everyone doing? It is such a fine day to be talking about a topic that I am quite, well, I wouldn't say I'm passionate about this. I just like to say I'm very interested in it. I know, you clicked into this. If you're like an oldie but a goodie who's been here from the very beginning, welcome. You know the kind of shit that we do here. And if you're new here, I promise you I'm kind of normal. Okay, kinda is like kind of stretching it a little bit. I mean, I am a robot, but besides the point. Anyway, howdy folks, my name is Jacki, or you can call me Jacki3, and welcome to today's episode of What the fuck are we gonna be doing today? But before we get on to that, you know what? Today, I'm feeling a little spiffy right now. Let's greet, well, I always greet chat, so I don't know what I meant. Like, I'm feeling spiffy today. Like, obviously I'm gonna greet chat. Anyway, I'm really about to do it right now. Okay, hey there, Asicon, what's up? Dan Doinks, Cornelius, do you have experience in biting? I would assume, wait, can you bite your opponents when you're wrestling? Is that not like a foul? Is that allowed? Well, you know what, I'm gonna find out because like next week we got something, if you know what I'm saying, eh? Mitch, you are so right. Perfect dinner time stream. Well, I'm just gonna say right now, I already gave a warning in the tweet that this conversation may not be for the people who are easily faint of heart, faint of stomach. Y'all know what I'm talking about. This is a topic that is quite controversial. Like, part of me was thinking, I wonder what the FBI agent is thinking as he looks at like the shit that I'm searching right now. Because I swear to God, you know how like everybody believes that there is an FBI or like whatever government is behind your country, like monitoring the shit that you search. Like sometimes I think like, is this person trying to be? I know this person be searching about shit on arson and stuff, but now they're gonna do cannibalism? Are we gonna do the whole trifecta? Anyway, Avery, what's up? Legion, it is time to eat our kind. Hell yeah, it's time. Again, folks, this is gonna be more of an educational stream rather than, well, it's about time for us to do some cannibalism, okay? We're not gonna eat people. I want to be very clear with that. We're not gonna eat, any one of our own species, unless that's your thing. If you happen to be a shark, I guess feel free. If there's a shark VTuber around here, feel free to eat your young, I guess. Jar, wait, I'm not sure if I've seen you before, but welcome, Jar. I hope you're having a good one. Crazy? I was crazy once. I was forced to type messages about talking about being crazy. You know what? You're not crazy. You're just fucked up. Dead Maru, hey, what's up, man? I hope you're having a good one. Wait, no, I've seen you before. I know I have. Or am I delusional? Because that's like one of my things. I am also partially delusional. Ace, hey! And of course, Cheesy Chips, what's up? And Mugen, oh shit, I almost forgot. Yeah, I almost forgot that. How could I forget? I literally just greeted everyone earlier on Twitter, happy Thanksgiving. So, to the people here who celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving to you. And if you don't, that's also perfectly okay. Because you know what? Sometimes there ain't much to think about. Every time somebody's like, you have to thank them for the beauty of life. And I'm like, sure, I guess. It'd be easier to thank the life I was given if I was born into generational wealth, but nobody's that lucky, huh? I ain't God's favorite. But anyway, yes, folks, for today, we are gonna be talking about a topic that, again, as I've mentioned before, I wouldn't say that I'm passionate about this, but it's more of like, I'm genuinely very interested because there's so many cultural and historical shit to unpack. So I will say from the get-go that I will be approaching this conversation with more of like a I'd like to say educated outlook. So here's the thing. Every time I start, if you see in the title of the lives that I do, if it says presenting, most likely it's gonna be educational. If it's not, then it's probably just free for all. Like, fuck it, whatever. We're gonna throw shit on the floor. No, throw shit on the wall and just wonder what's gonna go on, what's gonna stick. Okay, wait, I feel like wait, where's my chat? Emil, hey, what's up? Happy Thanksgiving again. Thank you so much. Prosecutor Miles Edgeworth, it is so nice to have you here. And what's for today? Today it is cannibalism. And okay, and also, oh yeah, it is a Black Friday sale. So, you know, the cool thing is, I think Black Friday doesn't only apply to North America. I think it's also like no, that's me thinking that everything applies, like everything North American applies to like everything. Nope, probably not. Anyway, let's just go on to my PowerPoint presentation, which I'm gonna say, I wanna like give a shout out. Hold on. I want to give a quick shout out to Iana because you know, here's the thing, folks. So my PowerPoints are mostly edited by you know, the art team at HEYU. Like I make the I put the information, I put all that shit, but then she's the one who kind of bedazzles it just to make sure that it don't look like ass. So, you know, sometimes when it comes to topics like this, I was kind of feeling like, oh, sweet, I am so sorry that you do not have consent to be reading information like this. Because I'm gonna tell y'all right now, doing the research for this, you know, I consider myself to have a very strong stomach. Like, I mean, even before I became a robot, I'm pretty like it takes a long time for me to get really disgusted with something. And this is coming from, because I've done a lot of shit, okay? Like, I've dissected a body before, and like, remember when y'all were in high school or middle school when you had that thing in biology class where you had to dissect a frog? Yeah, I was like the fucking pioneer doing that shit because everybody was too pussy enough to fucking dissect it properly. Like, I mean, I guess some of them were also doing it in a moral perspective, like, I don't want to do it. And I'm not gonna lie, I did think of it that too, but, you know, school requirements are school requirements. So, we still dissected the frog, and I was like, I promise you I was doing it in a way that I really tried my best that it would not hurt. Swift. You know, a swift thing. Because that's the only human way to do it, I guess. So, anyway, I do want to give, again, you know, wait, hold on. I feel like y'all are probably thinking to yourselves, Jackie, why the fuck are we talking about cannibalism? And again, it's just like Marge here. I just think that it's neat. I mean, I'm not saying that I condone it, but again, learning about the cultural context, historical context of why these things happen is very, very fascinating to me. So again, I will try to approach this in a way that is more educational, in a way that's more insightful, rather than, oh, wow, look at these people just eat people. That is so wild. I mean, okay, I will say there are some parts of this that I did kind of go like, yo, that's some wild shit. But again, I will be giving context as to why that happened. Because I feel like that's the best way to learn history. Okay, you know, my daddy taught me when I was very young, because he would always ask me, Jackie, how do you define history? and you know, the usual answer that people would give is history is the study of the past. And he would always tell me, no, Jacqueline, history is the study of man's interpretation of the past. And that is the caveat. That is the important thing, because always remember, folks, history is always going to tend to be biased depending on who's writing it. So, as much as possible, I'm going to try to approach this in a way that is not controversial and more, I wouldn't say sanitized, but you know, like made for the ears of somebody listening who doesn't necessarily is. Where did my grammar go? I was trying to like look for the grammar and it was not going anywhere. But y'all know what I'm trying to say, okay? Y'all know that I don't usually mince my words, that I will let you have it if it fucking gets to that. But considering that these topics tend to be a little more sensitive in nature and in a way taboo, I do want to approach this in a way that is just right, you know? Not too controversial, not too, you know, your 5th grade math teacher trying to teach you about the quadratic equation when you can't even do addition, so you kind of just look at them with like, duh. No, okay? We are gonna do this the right way. The Jackie way. I guess that's the way that we could say it. Okay. Oh, Sleep! Nice to have you here. Wait, what do I have explaining? What is the explanation that I have to do while we're doing this? And Karazard, hey, what's up? Okay, anyway, so today we are about to start the cannibalism. I mean, we're not gonna eat people. We're gonna start the topic, okay? Okay, so you might be wondering, cannibalism. What is that all about? Where did that word come from? Why is it called cannibalism? So, wait, where's my fucking... So, folks, everybody knows that cannibalism basically means when you eat someone of the same species. I mean, I feel like we know that, right? We don't gotta get into detail about the definition of cannibalism. But what y'all don't know is that cannibalism, the older term for it, was actually called anthropophagy. So, anthropophagy, let's cut that down into 2 parts. Anthropo, meaning humans. That's why we have anthropology, the study of humans, because ology is basically the study of. And phagy basically means to eat. That's why, like in cells, we have this thing called phagocytes or phagocytosis. So phagocytes meaning eating cells, or phagocytosis, which is basically the process of eating cells. So again, cannibalism is derived from the term anthropophagy, which basically means the eating of humans. But, so you're probably wondering, okay, Jackie, that's the old term, cool, but like, y'all gotta tell me where the fuck I just stopped. Cause, oh man. You know, that's the problem when I get super, like, into it, and then suddenly, fuck. But hold on. I will say, hello Xmo2, nice to have you here and pray for you. Hey, what's up? Anyway, Toad frowns. Hey yo, nobody special. Okay, we are gonna get back here. Where the fuck did I end? Okay, I'm just gonna assume that I ended, you know, I'm just gonna tell the story from the beginning of like how it became called cannibalism. You stop at the part where you're telling us about the origin of the word. Okay. So, again, just, you know, let me just start from the very beginning, but I'll just do it really quickly. So again, cannibalism is when you eat the same species for food, and from the older term is basically anthropophagy, anthropo meaning human and phagy meaning eating. So, let's go with the origin of the word. So, Coco-san, hey, what's up? Nice, we get to learn about including iron in our diet. Okay. I mean, yeah, we are talking about cannibalism, but please do not bore me. That's not my kink. That's not my thing. You know, bing, 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 the biggest kink is the brain. Is that what they said in Dimension 20? Anyway, I'm gonna just get back. So, folks, the word is actually derived from the island Carib people of the Lesser Antilles, which is basically situated somewhere in the Caribbean. So, how exactly did people find this place first? Like, how did people come to know this? Okay, well, we have this dude. We have this dude whose name is everybody. I feel like y'all know him. His name is Christopher Columbus. You know, the guy that people said this, you know, quote unquote discovered America, but he didn't really discover jack shit. Cause like, we know people were already living there. So anyway, thing is, his description of the customs of the Caribs was basically said, like, you know, he included that cannibalism was part of the routine. Like, men were killed or captured, or like men were also captured in war and they were eaten, and then some would be like, you know, just some would be kind of like slaughtered for consumption. But, you know, that's what he said. And here's the thing. So, this dude, Christopher, you know, he was working for Spain. We know that, right? Spain? Portugal. No, Magellan was working for Spain. Whatever. Two different guys, same shit. So anyway, he goes here and he's writing to the queen like, "Hey yo, queenie, you'll never guess what the fuck is up." He was like telling the queen like, "Hey, these people are eating people." And then the queen, she was like, "Ew, like, that's kinda, it's not giving, you know, it's not great." So basically, the queen was like, "Hey, so, I'm gonna give you permission to, like, if you ever see anyone practicing cannibalism, yeah, you go capture them, and we will sell them to slavery." Yeah, that was a whole thing, folks. And so, it became a thing where, like, during this time when you know, the Spaniards were around this area, that essentially, it was kind of giving the witch hunt, because sometimes if you couldn't pay, like, the taxes or whatever the fuck they were asking for this time, he would basically say, "I'ma slap you with a cannibalism accusation so you can go out there and get sold to It was terrible. It really was not great. Colonialism and imperialism, what a great thing. Anyway, so that's how the word came to be. So it came from Carib to Caribe to Canibe to cannibal. That's why it kind of sounds a little bit Spanish, because, you know, they kind of derived it from that and shit. So there you go, folks. That is the origin of the word cannibalism. But wait, there's more. Did you know that? Did y'all know that cannibalism is actually very rampant in the animal kingdom? So, because scientists actually used to think that cannibalism was like something that was only limited to like times of desperation when it came to animals. But the thing is, it's not. It's actually very common, it's actually very common in the animal kingdom. Hold on, let me just read chat real quick. Nobody special, just remember kids, stick to the red meat, leave the brains and shit. Very true, nobody special. I'll actually get back into it, but that has something to do with a disease called Kuru, which is a prion disease. Anyway. And Asakon, you are so right. He thought he discovered India. Actually, folks, I mean, a little bit of history. The reason why, for a time, Native Americans were called Indians was because Christopher Columbus thought that he was in India. Which is the same story as like why when Magellan landed in the Philippines. You know how like they were calling the Filipinos Indios? Because he thought he was in fucking India. I swear to God, these people can't read a goddamn map for their fucking life. Anyway. Okay. So, wait, hold on. Wait, Rob Cham asked, does swallowing, the man count as cannibals? Cannibalism can be defined as like, actually, the definition of cannibalism, it being the consumption of the flesh of one species. I suppose in a way that because the thing is, there were also different practices. Like, there was the practice of actually, again, I will get to this later, but there was this practice of like consuming like bodily fluids, specifically like blood. So, if we are gonna be equating the white stuff to that, I suppose you can consider that. Oh god, is cannibalism a kink? Wait, no, that's vor. But vor is completely... You know what? This is not... We did not come for like unchristian... I say unchristian, but then we're talking about a topic like this. So really, boo-boo, who's a fool? So, hold on. Soylent Green is Caribbean food. I don't know what that is. Mantises and spiders are the ones I know. Yes, that is very much true. Actually, I'm gonna get around to talking about this more. And Columbus literally used the two worst known maps to gaslight the king into building. Yeah, that is so fucking true. That is so fucking true. And are all questions gonna be entertained after this seminar? Yes, please feel free. Oh shit, I have to charge my laptop. Oh fuck. Yes, please feel free to be asking questions, but again, I want to be very very forthright. I am not an expert anthropologist. I am not a biologist. I was in the STEM field. When I mean STEM field was I studied it in high school. That's the most I'll say. And yeah, vampirism. Lapis Windbloom! Can I just say, I really love your name. Lapis Windbloom is such a pretty name. I'm so glad to have you here. Welcome. I'm sorry that the stream that you're catching is essentially, about cannibalism. But it's interesting. Sorta. So anyway, okay. So, cannibalism in the animal kingdom. There is a thing which we call like filial cannibalism, which is essentially when animals eat their young for various reasons. So we have like stuff like fish, leopards, or rodents. So fish in this case is like sometimes when specific kinds of fish, when they actually like give birth, sorry, not give birth, when they lay eggs, sometimes the mama is gonna be eating that. So y'all, can I just say, y'all remember Finding Nemo? There would have been a high chance, actually, we were going factually correct, that the mom probably could have eaten a bunch of her young, really. So there you go. And also the case of rodents, which is exactly why, like, you know when you have like a pet hamster or like a pet rat, like when one of them gives birth, it's very important that like you actually separate sometimes the dad with the mom and their kids, because the dad might be eating that. That's a thing. That's a thing. And Hermione! Hey, it's so nice to see you back here. Oh god, I feel so... Lapis said thanks, and I will learn about you with this. I promise you, this is... I'm not a... As Mitch said, I am not a cannibal. If a oh wait, Emil said, if a robot eats a person, does that count as cannibalism? Considering the fact that I used to be human, if I eat... But then I'm a different... See, here's the thing. Y'all know that Rue used to be human, right? So, actually a human elf? I'm not really sure. She just used to be mortal, but then she's a vampire now. So does that mean when she sucks blood, that's cannibalism? Is it? Anyway. Oh, your friend says hi. Hello to Hermione's friend. Hello. I hope you're having a good one, and I'm doing good. Okay. Okay, so the next one we have, oh, there's also another thing in filial cannibalism, like, okay, so there's this thing, specifically with some, species like the North American red squirrel or lions and chimpanzees. Like, some fathers will actually kill their young if, like, they don't pass the paternity test. Like, sometimes if they notice that the baby is not theirs, they're gonna straight up eat them. So... aren't you glad that you were born human and that your dad didn't want to eat you when he found out that your mom was actually cheating on your dad with Uncle Steve? Great! Fucking great! Okay. Hey, Pliskin! What's up? Wait. Vampire eating vampire would be cannibal. There you go. Vamp eating human is predator eating prey. There we go. Therefore, me... a robot eating a human would not be considered cannibalism. But again, folks, I must tell you right now again, as a robot, I do not need to consume food, so I can't be a cannibal. Oh, y'all are making some props for production? Okay. Okay, another kind of thing is called intrauterine cannibalism, which is basically when you eat each other from the womb. So this is actually seen in some shark species. So like baby sharks would actually eat each other in the womb, especially like, okay, so here's the thing. When there's like a shark in the stomach, so they're like in this pouch kind of thing. So think of it like, so in the human sense, you have the placenta, which is exactly how you actually acquire nutrients from your parents. So with the sharks, what happens is they have their own like food packet within the stomach. Sorry, within the womb. Stomach is wrong. Within the womb. So when they finally finish their own packet, what they sometimes do is that they will actually eat the other packets or the other sharks for nutrition. And that's how you know that when they finally leave the womb, they are certified predators. Boom, bitch. Okay. And then we have this thing, which is what Den mentioned before, is like when babies eat their mom. So, like when you said the spider, an example of this is the velvet spider. So what happens is, it's pretty much self-explanatory. The babies eat their mother when they're born. Like, the mother is extra nutrition. See? Never let it be said that a mother's love is not... The greatest love of them all is Jesus. What's that saying? Like, a mother's love is the greatest love of them all. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay, so there you go. Oh, Hermione said it's for cosplay. Oh, dang. What cosplay is this? And Lapis Windbloom, my first success in life was not to be eaten by my father. See? If you ever think that your life is shitty and that you've never achieved anything, always remember, your father didn't eat you. Is that copyright if I actually sing the music of that? No. Okay. So, and, okay, the next kind, which is the last kind, well, I wouldn't say the last kind. I think there's a bunch more different kinds of cannibalism things in the animal kingdom, but I just wanted to limit it to like a few things because Lord knows I'm not gonna fucking mention everything, okay? So the next one is sexual cannibalism, which you can see my comment, like, is it for, you know, it's like when you eat your partner while you're fucking, which is you know, the praying mantis. Like, y'all know this, right? Like when when the praying mantis is like going to town, like, slap that ass. You know, the basically the mom praying mantis eats their partner, like beheads them. Nom nom. See? wait. It's basically, you know, so I was about to reference a Vine, you know, so no head. Boom. Anyway, sorry. Okay. Get your ADHD in check. Okay, Jacki, just get it in check. Okay. There you go. Cannibalism in the animal kingdom. But now we've talked about animals. But what about the types of cannibalism that is common? Okay, maybe not common, but more like, you know, I wouldn't say acceptable. Known. The types of cannibalism that is known to humanity. Shout out to K-On. Not saying that Yui is a cannibal, but I'm not saying she's not. You'll never know. Again, folks, for the people who are coming here just now, please know that this is the part where we might get a little graphic and shit. Hey, up dog! What's up, dog? Okay, they can eat during and after. Apparently, if the female mantis eats the partner, she has more energy for egg laying. See, there you go. Again, cannibalism in the animal kingdom is not random. There's always a purpose. And I'd like to say that cannibalism, for the most part, always has purpose, even culturally speaking. Like, it can be used for fear, it can be used for survival, and again, we're about to get into the nitty-gritty of like what some of these things are. So, yes. Wait, Lapis Wind said, so basically it's like when your partner is going to town and you're biting the neck and got a bit too carried away and end up having to that is essentially what it is. You know, I remember, can I just a random share. I'm just gonna randomly share this. It has nothing to do with cannibalism, but it does have to do with sexy times. I remember I was reading this book, trying to remember the title, I think Like Water for Chocolate. So I read this book, and it's essentially magic realism, but I remember, because I know it's cultural, there should be some cultural context, but the thing is, at the end of the book, so the girl and the guy, they do it, and it basically, it gets so intense that the guy dies, and then the girl is like, oh my god, I can't live without this guy. So what she does is she basically eats a bunch of candles, and from that she bursts into flame, and they both burst into flame as a symbol of their passionate love. And I was like, man, I know I'm ace, but I guess if there's one way to go, that is one way to go. And aw, that's so sweet of your friend. Good luck with your Hu Tao cosplay. I do love her, because I love voicing her actually, because how does she sound like? Helly churl, silly churl, Silly, hilly, billy churl. Ooh. I'm so sorry. Please consider it's 7 a.m. and I'm hungover. It is too early for this. What a beautiful topic to be thinking about because you're hungover. Wait, actually, you know what? Going on with like the story of like water for chocolate. There's one more scene because a lot of it had erotic scenes, and I remember that there was a part where basically one of the other girls escapes and she's on a horse with a guy, and I was like just thinking about the logistics of this because basically they are on the horse and the horse is galloping away and they're doing it on the horse. I was like, wait, will you not fall? What is the logistics of this? What is the positioning that you gotta do to make sure that you don't fall? Cause like, my brother in Christ, you can only ride one thing at a time, okay? Okay. Alright. Okay. Now now that I've talked about this. Oh, you know what, folks? Look at this. I found this picture and I was so fascinated with it. So, again, this is like this has nothing to do This has nothing to do with what I believe the cuts are, okay? I just found this picture. So anyway, again, I've mentioned this before, folks, but the brain, we cannot eat that, okay? It's not good because it gives you CJD, which basically kills your brain cells, but actually the other specific disease that you could probably get if you eat the brain is called kuru, which I will elaborate later. And then you have the arms, which are, you know, tough meat, so it's probably good for soup. And then the upper arm. Oh, you know what? I actually have a story about cannibalism, like a personal story. Okay, when I mean personal story, I do not mean that I have experienced it myself. I had like this friend. So I had this friend. So this friend of mine, let's just call him. Let's call him Ito. Sorry. It's just that fucking Genshin Impact is in my head now. So anyway, my friend called Ito. He was in culinary school, and the thing is, one of the things that they one of the things that one of my friends, he told me like one of the things that they had to do in culinary school was that they had to be broaden their horizons. So they would go to like different places to know all about different sorts of foods. So there was this one situation where he went to this country, trying to remember the country, but he went to like the more provincial, tribish area of this country, and basically he was like there as a guest, and he told me that one of the things that they made him do was like they gave him a bunch of food and he had to like guess what it was. So there was this one instance when he tasted this food and he told me it was like one of the toughest things he's ever eaten. Kind of tasted like horse. And so the village people were like asking, "Hey, so what do you think you just ate?" So my friend has been pretty good up to this point. He was guessing everything. He was like saying chicken, beef, snake, rat. He was pretty good at guessing. And then, but this was the one thing that stumped him. So he was like, "Is this horse?" And then the person was like, and then the villager was basically like, "Nope, that's an enemy villager." And then, I shit you not, my friend, what a champion. He was like, he didn't throw it out. You know, he didn't throw it up. He basically just went, "Okay," swallowed it, and basically said, "Thank you. I don't think I'll have any more." And there you go. That is the story of how I found out that, I guess, because there are different accounts, because if you read other reports, people say that people taste like veal or something. I guess it depends on, like, the lifestyle of the person, but yeah, according to my friend, human people taste like horse. I wish I was shitting you, but I promise you, chat, this is a real life story of my friend. So let me just read chat real quick. Ox brain is pretty. I've never tried ox brain. AJ, hey, what's up? And your friend said, oratrice mécanique de Lise Cardinal. I know that. Yes. Wait, what allegations? I'm just saying that it's my friend. So anyway, wait. Pliskin said, this reminds me of that Reddit story where a biker had his leg amputated. They cooked his amputated foot, and he and his friends. But why? But why? What? Okay, I will say, Emil, it was in Asia. That's what I remember. My friend was in Asia. Oh, you know what, Pliskin? This actually reminds me of another story. This is not a personal story. Okay, again, folks, you came into this stream knowing that the topic is about cannibalism. Folks, we are gonna talk about a lot of shit, okay? So, there was this story, I think, it was, I'm trying to remember it, but I think it was a Japanese artist, where he was an artist. I think what happened was, I'm just really summarizing this because this is what I remember. Essentially, he surgically had his penis cut off, and then he was actually auctioning it to people like, hey, folks, I'm gonna cook my dick. Anyone wanna eat it? And I shit you not, people actually paid to eat his cooked dick. There you go, a really short story. Anyway. Wait, Updog said, rainicorns eat human. What's a rainicorn? Like a unicorn? Princess Rainicorn? From Adventure Time? Anyway. And that's true, Lapis. When someone offers you food, you don't disrespect them. Yes, yeah. Again, folks, I told you that we were about to talk about some weird shit. And this is the weird shit. Okay, wait, hold on. Alright. Next, okay. So, this is one type of cannibalism. And this type of cannibalism is commonly known as survival cannibalism, which is also known as famine cannibalism, which essentially, this is just something that is done when there is a severe case of starvation or famine. So, there's actually like two kinds of this. You have necrocannibalism, which is essentially the eating of the dead. Examples of this which is something that we will actually discuss later, which is the Donner Party. If y'all are not familiar with the Donner Party, essentially the Donner Party was like a group of pioneer people try to get to a different place. They try to get to California. It did not go according to plan. And then the Essex ship is actually like a whaling ship, which is actually what Moby Dick was based from. And of course, oh, one of my favorites. I mean, I wouldn't say it's my favorite in like a, wow, it's so great this happened. It's more of like, it's a very haunting story, which is basically the Medusa shipwreck, which was, a shipwreck that was, I think, from France to Africa. Yes, it was a very haunting. It was a very haunting thing that actually a painter made a painting based from it. So yeah. Lapis, so I am not a police, but just between you and me, what's the story? No, it definitely not. No. I would like to go on record that I have never practiced cannibalism. This is just something that I find as a topic is very fascinating. It's really cool just knowing these stories. It's like a good thing to be bringing out. It's a great icebreaker. Like, imagine you're on a first date and you go like, you know, it's not going great. Imagine your opening being, did you know that people used to eat each other for survival? Yes, exactly, Chthonic Maria, the Raft of the Medusa, one of my favorite paintings. Amazing work, and I'll actually get to it later. Okay. And then the next which is essentially called homicidal cannibalism, which is when you eat someone for food but you kill them first, which a classic example is actually RV Dudley and versus Stephens. Actually, let me pull up my notes for that. I have notes. Yes, folks, I have fucking notes. Where is it though? I have to look for it. Where the fuck are my notes for it? Hold on. Sorry, I actually have so much notes on this because I couldn't just like enter this without giving you guys some real cool shit on this. I'm trying to look for it though. Where is it? Oh, there we go. So basically, RV Dudley and Stephens, it was a leading English criminal case which was established as a precedent throughout the common law world that essentially, basically, the custom of the sea. So the thing is, there is this thing in like among sailors, which is we call the custom of the sea, where if you are in a situation where you are like shipwrecked or like adrift, it is okay to like kill each other for food. It is a justification for cannibalism. And basically, yeah. I'm gonna tell you right now, there's a lot of stories of people cannibalizing each other in the sea. Yep. Wait, so just let me just look at the chat real quick. You don't worry, Jackie, you get a thank you, prosecutor, thank you. I'm glad to know that I'm not going to jail. Terrible dating advice 101 with Professor. Hey, I'm just saying, if you open up with a really strong conversation, like saying like, hey, did you know that there's a species of animals that when they fuck, they cannibalize each other? What a strong, I'm just saying right now, if somebody came up to me and said that, I wouldn't say that I'd kneel. I'd be more like, do tell me more. Tell me more, tell me more. Shit like that. Avery said, this as a topic on a first date would be a red flag, especially if they invite you. Okay, I guess if that is the case, if you like went to their home and they said, here, have dinner, it's medium rare steak, I feel like, okay, I could understand why that would be a red flag. And Legion says, fun fact, if a cow or any animal that we eat, we have to calm down the animal because if you don't, you will get the... Oh, that makes sense. That's why, like, if I'm not mistaken, usually like the most tender parts of the meat is like the parts that don't actually function much. Oh, Hermione is not in the room? She's emo? Is she okay? Wendigos are cannibals. Ooh! It's cool that you're familiar with Wendigo. So, for the folks who are not too familiar with what a Wendigo is, wait, let me just... to make sure that what I'm saying is right. Okay, a Wendigo is basically a mythological creature that originates from the folklore of like the Native Americans. So if y'all watched Supernatural, there you go. They eat people. And Cathanagori said, I also fell into the Donner Party rabbit hole once. Some of the letters sent by someone from the party are... Yeah, I've seen that! Actually, I am gonna be discussing the Donner Party later here. So imagine going on a first date with a vegan and they talk about cannibalism. Oh god. That's like a lawsuit if you think about it. What if she kills you? She doesn't... Oh my god. She's a vegan for animals, but not for humans. That is a story that could be written down. The next thing you will tell is that you can fascinate a lady with a slice of cheese. I'm gonna say, if you give me a slice of cheese, I will be fascinated. Padma, hey! How are you doing? I hope you're having a good one. I hope your migraine isn't too bad anymore. Wait, no, Tell Me More is not a cannibalism song. Bro, do an Until Dawn stream for more Wendigo goodness. Is that a game? Okay, you know what? Okay, anyway, so enough about survival. cannibalism. The next kind of cannibalism that we have is something which we call as institutionalized. So, institutionalized, wait, where are my notes here? So, institutionalized cannibalism is essentially what we call as learned cannibalism, which is basically cannibalistic acts that are generally accepted under certain cultures, because there are different kinds of cultures that actually have cannibalism as something that is quite acceptable. So there are, like, I will be touching upon this later, but certain parts of in Aztec culture, cannibalism was something that was acceptable, considering the fact that they had a human sacrifice. Some parts of China, it was actually quite accepted as a means of survival, but also as medicinal, which again I will touch upon on that. Trying to think of more. I'm trying to think of more contexts of like where cannibalism was okay. Some parts of West Africa it was okay. Some parts of Central Africa. Actually, there's a lot of cases in Central Africa. But yeah, so essentially this is what is accepted under certain cultures. So under institutionalized, we have exocannibalism, which is when you eat someone outside the community, which is defined as like war cannibalism. So usually people do this as an act of aggression or like asserting your dominance. So again, I will be using the example of like in the Tang Dynasty in China, they had this practice besides famine, but sometimes like during like fights and stuff, sometimes they would like flex by eating like their opponents. That's a thing. And also that was also a thing in like some parts of Aztec culture where like their enemies, you know, their enemies, they would actually eat them as a way to like frighten their other opponents. Then we have something called endocannibalism, which is eating someone within the community. So this is usually what we consider as funerary or mortuary cannibalism, which is usually part of like a funerary thing. So in certain cultures, there is this belief that sometimes when you eat parts of their flesh, it's like there are two schools of thoughts, and again it depends on the culture. Sometimes if you eat the flesh of like your family members, you're kind of like imbibing parts of them within you, or like the other part is like when you eat the flesh of your family members, it's like you're releasing their soul. So that is a type of like funerary and mortuary cannibalism. And now we have this thing where it's called autocannibalism, auto meaning self, and cannibalism, which is, you know, eating humans, which is essentially voring yourself. Cases like this is seen more as like pathological rather than something like really practiced. And it's also actually used as a method of torture. Like there are certain cultures where they would have this thing where they would like hack off your limb and they would actually force you to eat it. Humanity! Aren't they great? Seriously, I wish I could say that this doesn't happen anymore, but I've known enough true crime stories to know that this shit has happened as of recent. Actually, you know what? This is actually completely not related to this, but if y'all want to know about a really fucked up story, try reading about the anthill children. Oh my god. I'm gonna just say right now, I have a very strong stomach, but when I was like watching documentaries of it, there were so many times where I had to pause just to go like, that's fucking sick. Anyway, that's not the topic that we're going for today. Although, I guess one day I do want to do like true crime. But right now, that's not what we're doing. We are doing cannibalism. Yes, if I'm not mistaken, I should be right. It's the anthill. I'm right? Yes. Okay. Wait, sorry. I'm gonna read a chat again. Until dawn is. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna put that under the things that I have to play for stream then. I'm definitely gonna wait, let me write that down before I forget. Until dawn, you have to play it, Jackie. Play it, Jackie. Alright, there we go. Alright, so I put that under my reminders just so I can remember it. Updog, can I interest you with an egg in this Thank you for giving me your eggs. Yes, Panma, there is such a thing as institutionalized cannibalism. And Exmo that she'll probably go with the most deaths if she plays until... Are you saying I'm a bad... I'm no. Yes. Wait! Lapis! I'm not trying to sell you cannibalism! I'm just trying to, like, tell you that this topic is actually quite fascinating. Whenever I hear cannibalism, I remember the manga Fire Punch. What's Fire Punch? Is that about cannibalism? Okay, Pray For You asked a very interesting question that I always ask this as an icebreaker in many conversations with people that I'm meeting for the first time. Is vor cannibalism? See, vor is the act of swallowing somebody in a sexual way, and then cannibalism is when you eat someone. Therefore, vor is under cannibalism, but we cannot say that cannibalism is under vor. You get what I'm saying? I feel like that. Am I right? Yes. I wonder if the headhunters are also ate the body. Seemed like a waste not to. I would like to think that they did, because, you know, if you just eat the head, that's not much nutrition. I mean, I guess you could eat the cheek part, which is probably really tender because it's really fatty. But then what about the arms? I mean, here's the thing. What some people tend to do, like for really tough parts of like the body, I mean this in the animal sense anymore, not the fucking human sense, but like what people tend to do is like they're gonna like use that as stock to tenderize it. Okay. Yes, folks. Y'all are really learning about some shit, huh? The strong eat the weak, so if you eat yourself, are you strong or weak? No, that means you got a kink. Honestly, if someone bites a piece of my flesh, the first thing I will think is that they're a zombie and not a cannibal. That's fair, but the thing is, what if they look like a normal human being? But zombies can look like normal human beings. Fair play, fair play! Auto-cannibalism reminds me of Conchita. What's Conchita? I know that Conchita is a kind of like bread. Or am I thinking of something else? Sweeney Todd is essentially a cannibalism story. Oh my god, I just want to say, Sweeney Todd is like one of my favorite musicals. Essentially because of that, because I think it's really fucking hilarious that, you know, people don't know that they're eating people. Fire Force is written by the author of Chainsaw Man. Oh. Their swallowing is cannibalism and spitting is a waste. Emil, you're about to, you know, mama didn't raise no spitter. If you digest them, yes. If you spit them out later, it's not cannibalism. Ah, that's fair. That's fair. That's very fair. Oh, usually out of the belief that eating the enemy makes one gain their... Yes, that's a prominent belief. And Dahmer... Oh, okay. You're asking if I'm gonna be talking about Jeffrey Dahmer. You know, I did actually think about should I be bringing in some cases, because Jeffrey Dahmer is not the only person who did cannibalism. There's the Kentucky cannibal, there's the Colorado cannibal, there's Ed Gein, which, oh my god, the story of Ed Gein is very fascinating and very fucked up. But I kind of want to reserve that for a different stream, like maybe talking about the worst criminals in history. But like, again, with topics like those, I kind of need to do a lot of research, because I'm gonna tell you right now, when I was doing the research for this specific stream, there were so many times that I had to go to Mugen to just ask, is this okay? Can I actually discuss this? Is this too controversial? And he would, you know, he'd always say, nah, you can do it, you can do it. Just make sure in a way that you actually say it in a way that isn't sensationalizing and more of educational, and that's always my prerogative when I try to do streams like this, because I want people to be able to understand things rather than just go so, wow, they did that. You know, I ain't about that. I mean, I know a lot of streamers tend to be like that, and I know that I seem like the kind of based on how I look, I know I seem like the wild shit, but I'm gonna say right now, I'm a lot more nerdy than I give, you know, than I look. So anyway, yeah. Okay. Wait, well, 'tis your delight, sir. Okay. You know, I've actually never... Wait, what I'm learning in the stream makes not want to live on this planet anymore. Oh, Pliskin, I'm just saying right now, when you... Folks, this gets kind of worse. Okay, yeah, there are Ohio cannibals. There are a lot of... There's a lot of cannibals in serial killers. It's kind of wild shit. You know, I've never actually read or watched Chainsaw Man, but I know I should because so many people say it's really good. And I promise I probably will one day. Okay. Patrice, hey, what's up? I hope you're having a good one. You know, I'm just gonna say right now, I know who you are. Just kidding, that's so sketchy. You are my father. No, just kidding. Anyway. Wait, Chthonic Maria said, Boys Next Door by Kaori Yuki is also a manga that touches about cannibalism as a romantic concept? What? Okay. Alright, so now there's this thing called sacrificial cannibalism, which is something that I actually touched upon earlier. So this is when you eat the flesh of humans from human sacrifices. So there are two cultures, well actually not just two, but I specifically put two cultures here. One is in Knossos, Crete, during the Bronze Age, so animals and children were actually be sacrificed and eaten together for some rituals, and it was actually very prominent in Aztec culture. And let me actually expound on why it was prominent in Aztec culture. So the rationale for Aztec human sacrifice was, first and foremost, it was essentially for survival. And the thing is, this survival is actually tied in with something religious, because according to Aztec cosmology, there was this sun god called Huitzilopochtli. Oh god, I should have probably learned how to pronounce this. Huitzilopochtli, who was basically a sun god, and he was always waging war against the darkness. And if the darkness won, the world would fuck up. So the Aztecs believed that to keep the sun moving across the sky and to preserve, humanity, the Aztecs had to feed their sun god with human hearts and blood. Which is exactly why human sacrifices were very evident during this time. But aside from that, there was also another purpose to this, which was to intimidate. So remember, folks, when I mentioned how in exo-cannibalism it is war cannibalism, where you eat the flesh of, as an intimidation. This is another form of this. So the ritual killing of war captives, and there was large-scale displaying of these skulls, were always reminders to their enemies that, hey, we're pretty fucking strong and we will fuck you up. So according to DNA tests that were actually from recovered from the Templar Mayor site show, it showed that essentially a lot of the people that were actually sacrificed were outsiders. So yeah, so there you go. But I also want to mention that even though a huge chunk of the sacrifices were actually captured soldiers, there were also Aztec citizens who were actually pretty willing to be part of the sacrificial altar, because they believed that to be able to give your heart was a very honorable thing, and essentially it was a guaranteed ticket to be blessed in the afterlife. And you would if you did that, you would also get to fight side by side with the sun god, when you finally had to fight the forces of darkness. So yeah, so that's essentially sacrificial cannibalism, and why it was very prominent to Aztec culture. So to intimidate, and also religious. See, folks, isn't it fascinating? Just because I've always felt when people talk about the Aztecs, they say human sacrifice, but why are we... There is nuance to that, okay? They didn't just fucking sacrifice people because it was fun. There was nuance to it. There was story. I ain't saying that that's something that I would willingly do now, but it is a thing that happened. It is a thing that has informed a lot of their decisions. And it's fascinating. To say that something is barbaric just because we do not understand something is incredibly ignorant and ignorant. It's ignorance. So there you go, sacrificial cannibalism. Wait, let me just, okay. I'm sorry folks, the bottom picture is not really great. Quetzalcoatl is that's a different god. This is a different one. Let me actually, I will spell it. Let me spell the name of the god that I was referring to. Wait, I'm just, where do I type it in? Fuck it, I'm just gonna fucking type it here in chat. There you go. All right. Now the next kind of cannibalism is called gastronomic cannibalism, which okay, this is the part where it gets kind of fucking weird. Okay, gastronomic cannibalism is essentially because people just wanted to eat people. It's really that. You know, they were just like, I wonder how it tastes like. So, again, wait, hold on. I'm trying to look at my notes again. Where did I put that under? Where is that? Functional. There we go. Okay. So, gastronomic cannibalism, which is essentially like where you eat people for the sake of nutrition, or when you eat someone without ceremony. So, there you go. So there's this thing, in the Congo Basin, which is, I think Central Africa, or Africa. Okay, that's all I'll say. Okay, where many of the people that were eaten were actually slaves and not even enemies. And what the fuck did I write here? Man, that guy sure was tasty. But yeah, okay. Many of the eaten were actually butchered slaves rather than enemies killed in war, and according to Emile Tourde, who is an anthropologist, was that he said that the most common reason for cannibalism was just gastronomic. Like, the natives liked eating human flesh. Yes. And there's also this thing called, like, and then there's also this thing that is also out of necessity, which is, as I mentioned here in the slide, traditional New Guinea Highland societies, there was this concept called protein starvation, which essentially meant that there isn't enough animal meat to go around. Because remember, folks, in a proper diet, you have your carbs, you have your vitamins, you have your fruits, your veggies, and you're gonna need some kind of protein. And they just didn't have enough of that. That's why they kind of resorted to, like, eating certain people. So, oh, sorry. I wasn't done. So, in this, Jared Diamond has a book called Guns, Germs, and Steel, which essentially he suggests that protein starvation is probably almost the ultimate reason why cannibalism was widespread in traditional New Guinea Highland societies, and both in New Zealand and Fiji, because cannibals explain their acts as due to lack of animal meat. And in Liberia, which is a different place, so Liberia is along the it is a country on the West African coast. A former cannibal actually said that it's sometimes just wasteful to let the flesh of killed enemies spoil. And a lot of people in, some people in the Bismarck Archipelago actually share the same sentiment. Because, well, y'all remember the story that I told you of my personal, my friend? Because in many cases, human flesh was actually described as, according to some people, delicious. And apparently, especially if it's women and children. And I don't know what that has to do with anything, but now you know this information. Okay. I promise I'm not making this shit up. Okay. So, alright, this slide is done. Let me just read chat real quick. Well, guess all the Hannibal fans are gonna descend here. Oh god. Wait, oh my god, if there's Hannibal fans here, welcome to the stream! Oh dog, finally some good fucking food. Hannibal TV show is actually quite... Actually, you know what? I haven't watched it yet. Not mostly because I don't have the time, not because I have anything against it. Actually, you know, folks, earlier today, I just literally found out that season 5 of What We Do in the Shadows has already been out since August, and I was like, how did I not know this? I am a patron of What We Do in the Shadows, and I did not know! So after the stream, I am definitely gonna fucking binge shit that. Wait, y'all want a bottom picture? Look at Rob Champ. You come into my stream and you disrespect me after the praise that we and Ruru give you into saying that you are an indie king. For shame. For shame. Alright. Oh, Guns, Germs, and Steel. I do have a copy of the book. I just haven't finished it, actually. Wait. Chthonic Maria said, speaking of, I just remembered the stories of cannibalism coming out of southern China. Oh, I'm gonna just tell you right now, Chthonic Maria, we are gonna have, we have that story, and I know what you're referring to. We are gonna touch upon it, and I'm gonna try to, as much as possible, I am gonna touch upon it in the most sensitive way that I can. Lapis, I keep telling you, I've not eaten a person before. And Cool B said, I thought you were going to play a cannibalism game. Did not expect an educational lesson. Thank you. See, Cool Beans, this is exactly why you are the beans knees. Did you get it? Because the bee's knees, but I said the beans knees. Anyway, I'm just gonna go. Okay, okay. Now this part. Now we're actually gonna head on to like one of my favorite parts of this, which is the medical cannibalism, because it is so fucking fascinating. I'm just gonna say right now, it's very fascinating. Like the beliefs of people had, especially, Europe. Fascinating and kind of gross. As you can see, that is a picture of a dissection that is happening. Anyway. So, in Europe, there are many cases of medicinal cannibalism. And again, I would like to preface medicinal cannibalism. I think y'all can get that it means that there are, people found medicinal properties in this. So, in ancient Rome, one of the earliest accounts of this was actually in ancient Rome, where the blood of wounded gladiators was actually sometimes drunk in the belief that it can cure epilepsy. And I'm just gonna say right now, it's gonna be a recurring theme during this story that blood was used as like some miracle elixir. So medical cannibalism actually reached its peak in the 16th century, specifically in Europe. Okay, I am talking about the European context because it is different from some other countries. And this practice was actually very widespread in Germany, France, Italy, and England. So there was this thing which we called mummia, okay? So mummia is essentially the practice of getting like raw materials from mummies stolen. Okay, I want to be very clear. Stolen, okay? Not borrowed, stolen from Egyptian tombs. Additionally, skulls were also taken from Irish burial sites, and grave diggers sometimes even robbed and sold body parts. Because guess what, folks? Since mummia became such a craze, there's a limited amount of mummies. So when they couldn't get mummies, they were essentially grave robbing. So medicine was created from human flesh, different parts of the human body. So you have human bones, you have blood, even adipose tissue. Sorry, what's the layman's term for adipose? Fat. Because it was believed that these things could actually be used to treat different kinds of illnesses. So like, tinctures like to treat internal bleeding was actually made by soaking mummified bodies in alcohol or vinegar. And then there's this thing where powdered skull, which is, you know, as I mentioned, powdered skull, you mash it up, you get powdered skull. It was actually used to like treat ailments for the head, and sometimes it was even mixed with chocolate to treat apoplexy. So apoplexy is basically a rupture of an internal organ with a bunch of symptoms. This is an old term though. The new term is now what we call a hemorrhagic stroke, which is basically when a blood vessel ruptures in your brain. So there was also yeah, okay. There we go. So as these practices became more common, there was this principle of luck cures luck. So if an ailment came from the head, you have to cannibalize something from the head. If the ailment comes from the leg, well, guess what, honey? You ain't gonna get a head. You ain't gonna get a leg no more. Now, as I mentioned, blood was something very highly sought out, especially if it was fresh, warm human blood, because it was believed to actually possess the soul of the deceased. Remember what we were talking about, how like the consumption of like certain humans made people believe that they were actually consuming a part of them? This is very much the same thing, and which this is also very evident in many mythological and fabled stories. So for example, it was believed that drinking the blood of a strong person or a wise person would actually result in an increase in strength and wisdom. Because like, if one ate it, the spirit of the deceased person connected to that is gonna get to you. And this belief was actually very common in Germany, which explains a lot of things why their fucking stories are dark as shit. I mean, have y'all seen the original, you know, Grimm stories? It's fucked up. Like, even, even the poor people who couldn't actually afford other remedies, they actually took part in this practice. So there's this thing, so remember folks, this is the age where not a lot of like entertainment, okay? So executions were a really big thing. So like every time somebody was getting executed, sometimes you would actually find people, like you would find in the crowd people with cups, because what they wanted to get like a little bit of that blood that would get spilled when somebody died. So like sometimes you could even pay the executioner like a small fee if you could ask them to like, hey, can you fill this with blood so I don't have to fucking capture it from the crowd? That's a thing. And that's why, like, when criminals were actually being executed, it was like a two for one deal. Because here's the thing. You know, when they were alive, they were a burden to their country. But now that they're dead, they have the power to serve the public good by dying. It's fucking nuts, honestly. And like, let me actually like expand more. So again, so in Europe, remember how I mentioned that blood was best when it was like drunk, warm, and fresh? Some people couldn't kind of stomach it, so some people actually opted to like have it cooked. So there was actually this recipe for turning blood into marmalade. Yes, I know. Yes, I know. You know, people really be turning anything to jam these days. Like, so there was this guy, like, he was a Franciscan apothecary, actually suggested that you have to let the blood partially dry and actually chop it into small pieces to allow any remaining water to seep out. And then afterwards, that's when you cook it into a batter before you sift it into a jar so that it's perfectly smooth and okay. Then, in the 17th and 18th century, we have this thing called man grease, which is basically the fat. So if you've never seen fat before? Fat is when, okay, so let's say you cut open your arm. Oh wait, no, let's not cut open your arm. Let's say you cut open the abdominal region of somebody. Now when you finally go through the layers, you actually see that there's the skin, and then you see this yellowish kind of like thing, which is basically the adipose tissues, which is the fat. So that's the man fat, the man secretes that we're talking about. So the executioners would actually sell the fat of the people they executed, which then they would melt, and then they would fill it into like these jars and kind of things. And then apothecaries would actually sell it as like a remedy for pain, inflammation, rabies, joint problems, and scars. And so the skin of the executed was also used for like different sorts of like medical purposes. And then pregnant women would actually place it around their belly during childbirth because it was actually thought to reduce birth pain. And then some people would actually even put it around their neck to prevent thyroid problems. See? Lots of applications. And now remember the thing that I talked about, mumia. Well, there you go. Mumia was actually like in fashion even until the early 20th century, which is the 1900s. Holy shit. It was still rampant that time? What the fuck? Anyway, there you go. And now the worst one, in my opinion, is really like... So, around the 1600s, there was actually a recipe for wine, which was made from human flesh, which... Surprise, surprise, it was invented in Germany. Is anyone surprised? So according to the recipe, the body of a human, which is... This is the worst part. So, according to the recipe, the body of a human, preferably young, flawless, and redhead, was used. So the flesh would be chopped up and mixed with aloe and myrrh, then mashed and cured into wine. There we go. So that's that's for Europe. Let me read what chat has to say. Okay, oh shit, yeah. Okay, wait. I have to go through a lot of this because that's a lot of okay. Wait, hold on. Yes, okay. Chthonic Maria, yes. The Guangxi massacre is what I'm gonna be talking about later because there's a lot of cases of cannibalism in China, and I would actually like to get to it because some of it's very fascinating, actually. Oh my god, Token Slot, you're watching this while having dinner? You have a strong stomach. Lapis Windbloom, we are all friends here. I am not a police or anything. I am just gonna say numbers and you tell me to stop. 5 people, 8 people, 15, 13. Cool Beans, thinking about it, can we ethically eat human meat through stem cell culturing? I think it depends on what school of thought you apply for, because under bioethics, which is under ethics in general, there's a lot of schools of thoughts. So it depends on which school you are filling in on. But personally, I would say no. Maybe in really desperate times, but I don't think it's actually ethical. Would you consider Europeans eating Egyptian mummies cannibalism? Oh, this is 1000%. It's medicinal cannibalism. Token Slot, someone had to drink it first for them to find out. Oh god, the tombs got raided, yeah. Okay, hold on. Cool Beans, a lot of medieval practices were based on mysticism. Those were some crazy times. That is very true. That is very true. Lapis Windbloom, okay, gonna have a shower, maybe. Okay, have a good shower. Nobody special. Reese's skull pieces. Chthonic Maria, imagine being an Egyptian hoping for a great afterlife and then just getting eaten by some random rich. You know, that is exactly why. That is exactly why I really feel bad for like I really feel bad for like the ancient Egyptians, because they already stole, they were already, what was that? Did the grave robbery and then they pulled this shit? Really? Motherfuckers? Anyway, Hanma, the original Grimm stories were on a different fucking level. And yes, exactly, executions back then was a whole event, like a street party. Actually, during the execution of King Louis and Queen Marie Antoinette, and even during the execution of Queen, don't lose your way. Who was the one who sang it? Grew up in the French court, life was a choice. What was her name again? Straight to the UK, all the British dudes. That, y'all know who I'm talking about. It was a whole event, and people were also carrying, like, blood. Like cups for the blood. Talking about blood, wonder if blood transfusions could be considered as a form of cannibalism. I don't think so, because blood transfusion is, you don't consume it. It's through the veins. So I don't think it's considered cannibalism. Betamax. People Jam brings a whole new meaning to the phrase, I'd love to jelly her. Okay, this is a Christian stream. We use the whole dead guy in our pharmacy. When everyone in the old days did it, it's fine. When I visit the mortuary, I have to be sent. Well, cool beans. First of all, if you visit the mortuary, make sure it's still a fresh body. Nothing's gonna happen if it's already rigor mortis. Me-Man. Hey, what's up, Me-Man? This'll sound wrong, but I feel hungry now. It's okay. During the entire time when I was doing the research and the PowerPoint for this, all I was thinking of is like, thank God I don't feel an appetite anymore, because I feel like if I did, I would not be hungry no more. And I'll see you later then, Legion. Okay, so the next one that we are going to be talking about. So we went to Europe. There is also a very prominent one, which is going to be China. Okay. So I mentioned this before earlier, but in China, the consumption of human flesh was actually considered a very effective medical treatment. Well, specifically speaking, during the Tang Dynasty. The Tang Dynasty was around 600 to the 1000 or 900. 600 to the 900s. So, together with the ethical idea of filial piety, which is according to which, young people were actually supposed to do everything in their power to support their parents and parents-in-law. The idea eventually led to this thing called voluntary cannibalism, where a young person would actually cut some of their flesh from their body and would actually give it to their ailing parent for consumption. Now, normally, they would cut the piece from, like, somewhere not too... They're not cutting out an eyeball, okay? They're cutting, like, somewhere from their thigh or a little bit from their arm. So yeah, it was usually used as like a last-ditch resort to help like a dying family member. A lot of these donors tended to be women, and actually usually daughters-in-law too. So there was also this belief that if you boil a child, the heart of a child, it would lead to long life. And then there was this guy who was the emperor. His name was Emperor Wuzong. So he was like, there was this one time when he got really super duper fucking sick. He was actually requesting people like, hey, can I get like a 15-year-old's liver and heart so I can cure myself? Bing, bing, bing. He did not get cured from that. So, I will say, okay, again, wait. I will say that this shit was really predominant in like, during that time. And it eventually did wane in popularity until, well, there was the case of the Cultural Revolution, which if you are not familiar with, the Cultural Revolution in China was a very huge socio-political movement, which I will not get into further detail, All you need to know is that essentially the goal for it, the Cultural Revolution was launched by Mao Zedong, and the goal was to preserve Chinese purity, if I'm not mistaken, or at least preserve the greatness of China. I'm not gonna go too much into detail because it's highly political and I don't want to get too wild here. So anyway, during this time, I will say that medicine during the Cultural Revolution, it wasn't actually practiced as much for like in the medical standpoint, but when it was practiced in the medical standpoint, they had this belief, sorry, let me not put weird, they had this belief where if you ate a hot person's heart, you'll probably cure yourself of shit. So, yeah, there you go. And, actually, there, in recent cases, there is, this, in the mid-1990s, there were some journalists who exposed that there is apparently an underground market for human fetuses in mainland China and in Hong Kong. So, yes. And it was said that it could cure from rejuvenation to the cure of asthma. And it's wild, it's wild, y'all. And like, if you want even like an even more recent case, in 2011 to 2012, more than 17,000 capsule pills were actually filled with the powdered flesh of human fetuses or stillborns, because it was said that it could actually increase vitality and sex drive. And guess what? South Korean customs actually seized it from ethnic Koreans living in China who had tried to bring them into South Korea to consume the capsules themselves and distribute it. So, but, this might have been speculation for some people, because some experts also actually did say that, okay, maybe it wasn't human fetuses, maybe it was actually placenta, which is actually a little more accepted, because which is the practice is called placentophagy, which is essentially eating the placenta, which is actually considered legal and a widespread practice in China. There you go. And this is not the last of me discussing stuff about China, because I will get into more detail later with another topic. Yes. So, let's just see what chat has to say. Okay. Hold on. Where are we going? Where are we going? Ma'am? Wait, hold on. Who is rigor mortis? Rigor mortis is, when the stiffening of a dead body. Ma'am, we haven't been a Christian stream since day one. You know what? That is true. At this point, it ain't. I mean, the thing is, I never touted myself as like a say-so. It's more of, I don't want it to, I don't mind it getting too wild, but here's the thing. I've always felt that certain types of humor, it's okay as long as it's like not too much, because me personally, when things are like always sexual, I kind of just think it's a little cheap. But like, some people enjoy that, and good for them. I always have a firm belief that if I don't like something, I kind of just think, okay, I'm not the target market. Some person probably likes this, good for them. Anyway. Okay, Cool Bean said, is there any specific reason as to why it has to be a 15-year-old? I did some research, and according to the research, he was okay with between 13 to 15 as long as they were young teenagers. Since Gold member from Austin Powers 3 eats his own peeling skin, does that count as cannibalism? I think that's autocannibalism, which is actually, as I discussed earlier, it is a pathologic disorder. Okay, one kid policy meets handling the over. I find it very interesting that the consumption of human flesh has a lot of belief and stuff, especially back in... Man, this is exactly what I mean. So this is exactly why I found the topic of cannibalism very fascinating. Because aside from the fact that, okay, sure, when you think of cannibalism, it's like, oh, gross, it's terrifying. When you think about the cultural aspect of it, like the belief systems that went to it, it's incredibly fascinating. Especially, I mean, that's one facet of cannibalism. And the other facet that I like is like learning of the stories of like survival cannibalism, because it goes from wildly terrible to like actually uplifting. And I told you guys, see? I told you that we were gonna approach this in a way that isn't, you know, we try to make this as human? Is human the right term? You know, as okay as possible. And the last one for medicinal cannibalism, before we actually head to 7 stories of cannibalism that I like. Well, I don't like. It's more found fascinating. You know, it's funny because I was actually planning on giving you more stories until I realized that, like, we're not gonna. I could do a cannibalism part 2, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, wait, wrong. Wait, hold on. Let me look for it. Okay. The next one is the Forte tribe, New Guinea, which is, I've been referencing this since earlier. So because I know that everyone was saying like, if you eat a person, just make sure you don't eat the brains. And this is exactly why we're going to talk about it. So in the Forte tribe, the New Guinea, mortuary cannibalism actually led to the spread of a prion disease called kuru. So for those who are not aware, prion is essentially a type of protein. So kuru is a neurodegenerative disorder that leads to like tremors, loss of coordination, and sudden bursts of laughter. So women and children mostly ate the brain, which is the organ where the most infectious prions were actually concentrated. So here's the thing. Oh, sorry! I realized this is a wrong spelling. It's not forte, it's foray, not forte. My bad, that's not the spelling. So, okay. So, one medical researcher actually described that if the body was buried, it was eaten by worms. If it was placed on a platform, it was eaten by maggots. Now, the foray people believed that it was actually much better that the body was eaten by people who loved the deceased rather than worms and insects, which is why the women would usually remove the brain, mix it with ferns, and then they would cook it in tubes of bamboo. Then they would fire roast and eat everything except the gallbladder. Now, most of the ones who did this were actually adult women because their bodies were thought to be capable of housing and taming the dangerous spirit that might accompany the dead body. So, women took on this role of consuming the dead body and giving it a safe place inside their own body. They would tame it, and for a period of time, during this period of the mortuary ceremonies. So that's why it was mostly women and children. So as you can see, this again comes from a very cultural aspect. But then the reason why children also ate this is because women would occasionally pass the pieces of the feast to their kids, like, you know, like snacks. You know, they ate what their moms gave them. So there you go. So it's not, they didn't eat brains for fun. It was a way to connect themselves with the dead. So again, before we demonize people or make fun of them for why they did do these things, let's try to understand the cultural aspect of it. Let's try to understand the spiritual belief, because to make fun of somebody's spiritual belief, that's not cool. Because if you think about it, okay, this is like I'll give you another example that I actually didn't discuss. There's also this thing that we consider as symbolic cannibalism. You know what a perfect example of symbolic cannibalism is? When Catholics actually give the body of Christ and the blood of Christ. That is symbolic. That is symbolic cannibalism. Alright. Let's fucking go. Let's check it again. Cool Bean says that as somebody who cooks, I'm interested in how human meat tastes. Like, genuinely, I will jump at the opportunity to eat human flesh ethically. I'm not gonna lie. A part of me is curious to know what it tastes like because, you know, humanity, despite the fact that I'm a robot now, you know, I was still human. I still have human curiosity. And it's fascinating to think about it. So I don't blame you. Just make sure you do it ethically and shit. So, okay. Toad Frown says, today was the first time I learned about medicinal cannabis. Congratulations! See, folks, again, I always aim to be the niche VTuber that gives you information about things you didn't really ask for, but I'm delivering it. And chthonic reprions terrify me. Well, they're not all that terrifying. So, yeah. The men would get the choice cuts. Actually, still, I think it was still mostly practiced by women. Yancha, go! Oh my god, Yancha! Hey, what's up? I can't believe that this is the stream you actually fucking go to. Oh my god. I'm just... Wait, I'm a little... Suddenly, I'm a little conscious. Wait, hold on. Why are you saying that this is a crazy stream? Aren't you a manananggal? Don't you eat people? Excuse me? Me-Man says, I've heard that it tastes like a mixture of pork and beef. Well, as I mentioned earlier, my friend said it tastes like pork. And according to some people say it tastes like veal, some people say it's pork. Really depends. But again, Yancha, I'm not ethically advocating cannibalism. I'm just saying that there's context that we need to know about. Okay. So, here's the part where we're about to go through famous historical accounts. Yancha said, yeah, but I don't eat other manananggal, not a cat. Okay, that's fair. You know what? You got me there. You got me there. To be fair, though, Yancha, I don't eat robots. Therefore, can't be a cannibal, too. I'm just giving the people some education. When you said describing this as human, do you mean describing it objectively as a... Well, I will say yes. Avery, I will try to describe it as objectively as I can, but of course, I cannot help it if I suddenly just go off the rails and just go like, because, I mean, I'm still human, but I'm still gonna try to, like, do this in a way that is more educational, academic. There you go. Kinda curious if we'll have a macabre medical practice stream, like trepanations or bloodletting. You know, here's the thing, Cool Beans. There is this, medical VTuber that I really look up to. Her name, I've mentioned her so many times. Oh, not so many, but I've mentioned her a bunch. But her name's Shiori Pon. One day, I really want to have a conversation with them and maybe see if we could have something like that. Because here's the thing, she's a licensed doctor. I'm not. I am an unlicensed motherfucker. Yes, exactly, Shiori Pon, she's amazing. And, like, because I know she's a surgeon, so she's got a really busy schedule, but I'd really like just one day to just have, like, a cool stream with her. Like, because, like, I have, like, a bunch of medical streams planned out, just because, again, folks, I've mentioned before, but in the field of biology, medical biology is the one that I find the most fascinating. Like, I love learning about different kinds of diseases, different kinds of, like, or like physiology. Can't say I'm interested in pharmacology and biochemistry. I fucking hate that shit. Should fucking die. So there you go. But oh, Avery, I'm manifesting that because okay, I'm just gonna share right now. Let me just fan robot a little bit. So a few days ago, when I was on Twitter, I saw that, you know, okay, I had a new follower. And then when I saw that it was Dr. Shiori, I was like, try not to be weird about this. But in my head, I was like, holy fuck, one of my Oshis just followed me, and I don't know how to feel about this. I know how to feel about it, but I was like, what the fuck, why are you following me? What the fuck did I do? Anyway, there you go. And same token slot, I have so much admiration for them to be able to stream and still be a doctor, because the thing is, they didn't exactly, they're not exactly like the chillest doctor, like a speciality. They're like a fucking surgeon. It's, there we go. And I will say, sorry, nobody special said no chemistry. I mean, chemistry is a topic that I'm okay with, but I wouldn't say I'm very good at it. Like, it was one of the topics that I found pretty tough, but it's something that I could do. Anyway. Okay, let's do famous historical accounts. Okay, so this one, the first one is, so, okay, again, I mentioned this before. I will be discussing seven, do I have seven? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, 8. Oh, I have 8. 8? No, I can't remember no more. Okay, so I have 7/8 stories to share with you guys. So these are all famous historical accounts, which again I will mention. There are actually many stories, many historical accounts of cannibalism. The ones that I chose are particularly either one of the most popular ones, or the ones that I find just fascinating and like not controversial enough that could get me, you know, a talk with the boss. So here you go. The first one, which I was not aware that this happened until I started reading about this, which is, oh, just to share, this is Saturn eating his son. Saturn devouring his son. And I just want to share, I got to see this painting in real life, and it's so fucking cool. So this was actually written, it was actually painted by Francisco de Goya, and if I'm not mistaken, wait, what? Where did the? Cause like sometimes Mugen sends us to places, and one of the coolest places he sent me was Spain. This was in one of their what the fuck was that? The galleries or some shit. Getting to see this in real life was so fucking cool. Anyway. First are the Crusades. Specifically, oh shit. Specifically, the Siege of Ma'ara. So, the Siege of Ma'ara occurred in like the late 1098 in the city of Ma'arat Numan, which is now considered as modern-day Syria during the First Crusade. Folks, I'd like to believe that we are all familiar with what the Crusades were, so in case y'all are not familiar, the Crusades were basically a series of religious wars that were directed by the Latin Church during the medieval period, okay? Not gonna get too much into detail, but I do want to talk about the aspect of cannibalism here. So, according to some sources, they said that the Crusaders were actually driven by hunger, which is why they had to resort to cannibalism, where they fed on the bodies of their enemies. However, according to the accounts of writers from the opposing side, they were actually led to believe that it was not actually hunger, but more of a fanaticism. So it was more brought from like an intimidation perspective rather than a survival perspective. Y'all remember what we mentioned about history being it depends on man's interpretation of the past? Well, this is a good example of that. Sorry, wait, I'm trying to look for it. So a writer named Armin Maalouf, who is a Lebanese-born French author, he actually suggested that cannibalism actually might not have been through survival, but it might have been driven by fanaticism rather than necessity. He also notes that the events of Ma'ara actually helped shape a very negative image of the Crusaders to the people from that time. Because for 3 days, they put people to the sword, killing more than 100,000 people, one Arab chronicler would write. Which some people may believe that it was exaggerated, because the whole city's population was probably just less than 10,000, so that's why some people believe it was exaggerated. It is still like a huge amount of violence that deeply shocked many, where they would say that the bodies of the victims, the bodies of those who were killed, actually served as food for the conquerors. So, according to Thomas Asbridge, who is a historian, he actually said that cannibalism, he said like, he was like dead ass. I think the most fucked up shit about the Crusades is what the cannibalism shit that they pulled in Marat. Because here's the thing, because of the cannibalism that actually occurred here, the people that they were fighting are actually more willing to like kind of give up, just because they were so kind of terrified of what the fuck the Crusaders were doing. Folks, that's why I'm gonna just say right now, the Middle Ages were fucking terrible. So there you go. That's the cannibalistic side of the story of the Siege of Ma'ara. Again, I'm not about to give you guys like the full details of like the war and blah blah blah. I'm just here to talk about the cannibalism aspect of K. Okay? Y'all can't sue me for that. No, please! Avery said clip this fan mode. No! No. Oh no. Okay. So, wait, hold on. Wait, they aren't just MMO classes? Yansha, no. Well, fortunately, Paladins and Crusaders? Nah. By the way, when you mean MMO, do you mean like fucking Ragnarok? Oh god. To the folks here who played Ragnarok, I wanna know, what was your class? My first class in Ragnarok was actually an assassin, but my main is actually, I'm main playing a priest and a hunter. Anyway, Asagon, they did it as a flex. And Cool Bean said, essentially Japanese from the World War II era often did cannibalism due to lack of supplies rather than outright malice. That is often how it's presented. Oh, the Crusades were a wild time. Criminals were given a pass in the pretense of... That is so true. You know how like they said that, when a country colonizes a different country, like the people that they send to colonize are actually criminals? It's kind of like dead-ass, kind of like that. Oh shit! Y'all know what Ragnarok is! Let's go! Okay. Oh, Yansha, you were a Crusader maid, and Pam, you were a mage. What kind of mage? Were you a sage? Were you a wizard? Emil said, I was an agility paladin. Can I just say, agility paladin? I respect that. I don't see a lot of that class too much. And you became a battle priest. Really? You went... Okay. I want to know, because, like, I remember, like, back when, there wasn't the monk class yet, people would play the priest. And that's why they would make it a battle priest. So did you play a battle priest even though there was a monk? Because I find that interesting. Anyway, okay, next story is... Okay, this is the part where... Okay, I already mentioned this earlier, that in the Tang Dynasty, it was very rampant during this period because cannibalism was done by rebel forces. And eating an enemy's heart and liver was done as both official punishments and private vengeance. And because, okay, another more context to this, into knowing why, like, oh shit, into like why cannibalism was more rampant, it's because human flesh was cheaper than dog flesh. Dog flesh during this time was actually 5 times more expensive. So obviously, you're gonna go with a cheaper protein. which is exactly why humans were eaten during this time. Now, okay. Now this is the part where I will try to do this as academically as I can. So, the Guangxi massacre, which happened during the Cultural Revolution, was incredibly brutal. Records actually show that there is an estimated death toll of about 100,000 to 150,000 people. And the methods of slaughter included, I'm sorry again folks, this is about to get pretty rated, so if you wish to skip this part, but then again you are in a cannibalism stream, so you kind of signed up for the shit. But I will say, this might get a little graphic. So the methods of how people were actually killed during this time included like beheading, beating, live burial, stoning, drowning, boiling, disemboweling, cannibalism, that shit. So let me touch upon the aspect of cannibalism first. So so it was actually estimated that over 421 people were eaten. And according to many accounts, the Guangxi massacre cannibalism was actually not driven by famine or hunger, but political. And it was a flex of the upper class to the lower class. So I will read one of the reports here. In 1968, 38 people in Wusuan County were eaten, and 113 officials of the county participated in eating human flesh, hearts, and livers. Chen Guorong, a peasant from Guigang County, who happened to pass by Wushan. If you want to correct me, please feel free. I should have done my research on how to pronounce this correctly, I'm so sorry. Was caught and killed by local militia because he was fat. His heart and liver were taken out while his flesh was distributed to 20 people. A female militia leader ate 6 human livers in total and cut the genitals of 5 men and soaked them in alcohol, which she would drink later, claiming that these organs were beneficial to her health. The behavior of eating human flesh, hearts, and livers occurred in many counties of Guangxi, including Wushan, Wuming, Shaanxi, Guigang, Qingzhou, Guiping, and Lingyuan. After a revolutionary committee was established in Shaanxi County, a killing conference was held at Pingshan Square on September 1, 1968, during which more than 10 officials and civilians were beaten to death. After the conference, a committee member, Li Hao, removed the hearts and livers from corpses, sautéing them and preparing them as dishes for other representatives who attended the conference. There are many accounts of this. I will not go through all of this, considering the fact that it is very graphic and it might be very upsetting. But again, a lot of these, I just want y'all to know, during this time, nobody essentially was starving. So, Ding Suiliang, who is a professor at the University of British Columbia and the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, actually pointed out that this was not cannibalism because of economic difficulty, like during famine. It was not caused by economic reasons. It was caused by political events, political hatred, political ideologies, and political rituals. And Queen Hui, so sorry I can't pronounce this. How do I pronounce this so that I can... Okay. Also showed in statistics that the cannibalism was actually not due to traditions of local ethnic minorities. He actually argued that cannibalism was mainly due to the extreme class struggle during the Cultural Revolution, which led to a modern caste system, such as the 5 black categories. Now, the 5 black categories were basically classifications of political identity defined during the period of the Chinese Cultural Revolution. So, and an extreme massacre towards the lower class from the upper class, and the revenge from the local officials and military towards the rebel group who challenged their interests. Now, that is according to 2 statements. Now, according to Song Yong-yi, who is a Chinese-American historian, he believed that the motive behind cannibalism was actually personal desire. He said that people engaged in cannibalistic activities because they believed that when they eat other people's livers, other people's hearts, it might help to have them have a long life. So as you can see, there are different reasonings to why this happened. But at the end of the day, pretty sure these people did not deserve to get eaten. So, there you go. There's actually, I actually have like 2 more accounts of stories, but I do not wish to go in deep with that because I feel like what I already said earlier was pretty graphic enough. So I hope you don't mind that we can leave that behind. Okay, let me just read chat real quick. Wizard Sage is kind of complicated for me. Oh, you were a wizard. Yeah. You know, I will say, because like, you know how like in Ragnarok there were like, you know, the first generation of second class and then the second generation. I much preferred the first generation. That's why, like, I think the only thing that I played was like a rogue. That's the most. Oh, Emil, you had different accounts. Dang. And Pliskin said you were a monk paladin? Wait, oh, are you talking about D&D? Because that's I get that. Updog said, I did a semi-battle priest, hanged out at Aldebaran Block Tower. Wait, folks, I want to know, what were your servers? I was an Iris main. Archetype said, burn the heretics. Oh wait, wrong game. That's a wrong game. Hey, 99 bots, what's up? Let's fucking go! And yeah, it's really the purge. And Coolbean said, I had time to eat dinner while Jacki serenades us with their sweet cannibalism stories. Beaten to death or eaten to death? Sorry, I meant to say beaten to death. And Ping! Oh my god, it's so nice to see you! It's been some time! I hope you're having a good one. I know you mentioned that you're hanging out more with your friends, and I'm so happy to know that you have, like, you're hanging out with them. Please, I hope you enjoy your time. And yes, Avery, thank you. Motor oil, reminder. But yeah. Elos! Hey! Huh, wait, I remember you. What's up? Huh? In Transformers live action 2000, when Megatron ripped Jazz in half, Megatron... Okay. Oh my god, that was also cannibalistic. It's alright, Pliskin. But anyway, yeah, that is my account of the Guangxi massacre, and yeah. If you wish to know more information about this, it's pretty easy to read. It's pretty fast to actually see. But I just will say that the stories get very gruesome, and it's not for the faint of heart. Okay, the next one, which is not as long. I will say it's not as long. So, everyone and their mother... Well, wait, not everybody knows about this story. So, we have this thing called the Settlers of Jamestown. So, for the people who are not familiar, these settlers were basically from the, coming to the New World. You know, they were people from England who went to the New World. And I know that my notes here aren't as much, so I'll just, because I already have separate notes for this, so let me just go through it. So, the first year at Jamestown was fucking terrible. I'ma just say that right now. So this colony was founded in 1607, and it was like an English settlement that was home to about 104 settlers. Guess what? The first year, from 104, it became 38. Only 38 made it through the first winter. Mostly because disease, drought, really shitty farming conditions. Like, they did not go to a land where it was fertile. So, a lot of the colonists actually had to depend on cargo shipments for food. Problem was, it wasn't coming. So this shit actually got worse, because there was an arrival of 300 new settlers, which, in essence, they done gone goofed up there. Because, like, if you already knew that it was getting shitty, what the fuck are you gonna bring more people? It's like, come fuck on. Okay. So, because of that, 300 new settlers, and this is the definition of like, but wait, it gets worse. So, there was a really terrible winter in 1609, which became known as the Starving Time, which, according to a Jamestown settler whose name was George Percy, the conditions were so shitty that people were actually eating their own boots. Because remember, boots came from leather, so essentially humans. I mean, like, it was like horse skin, so I guess they could eat it. There you go. So, some people ate their boots, some people ate their neighbors. So, to quote, nothing was spared to maintain life, and to do those things which seem incredible, as to dig up dead corpses out of graves and to eat them, Percy wrote. And some have licked up the blood which hath fallen from the weak fellows. There you go. So, and it's funny because the thing is, historians kinda thought that Percy was exaggerating. Which in essence, I'm just thinking like, why would you think they're exaggerating? There are so many accounts of fucking cannibalism at this time. But in 2012, archaeologists actually discovered the bones of a 14-year-old with her skull cracked open to remove the brain. Which basically was a big implication. Bing, bing, bing! I guess there was cannibalism. So that's the second story about cannibalism we're doing. Okay. Ping said that, you have a crush? Oh, that's so precious. Bless your sweetheart. And I mean that in the not sarcastic way. I mean that in the real, in the actual nice way. Good for you. I'm so glad to hear about that. Emil said Baphomet server. Let's go. Croatoa, yes. Oh, yeah. Communication was very slow back then. But, yep. Okay, see. We needed, this is why I put the Jamestown here, because I feel like we needed a palate cleanser from, like, the Guangxi massacre, because it's pretty bad. Now let's go with, oh, wait, the Medusa. Okay, let's go with the Medusa. Or the Medusa. So here's the thing. It would have been easy to just blame the fact that there was a crash. But the thing is, nah. See, the Medusa's problems actually already began with a captain, Viscount HEYU de Chamaret, who was like this rich guy who actually hasn't been in sea for 20 years, but for some fucking reason he became the command, because he was loyal to the king, or queen. So already that's a red flag. So against numerous protests made by, like, the officers, Chamaret handed over the navigation duties to a philanthropist named Reichforth, a man who with no experience guiding ships. So already, folks, we're off to a shit start. You got a captain who hasn't been captaining for like 20 years, and then you got a navigator who has literally not done navigating work. So honestly, they were kind of just asking for it at this fucking point. So, thing is, the navigator being a fucking dumbass and hasn't really done this shit. Folks, I do firmly believe that the first step to being good at something is to suck at it. The problem is, they were sailing from France all the way to Africa. So, it ain't exactly a quick trip. Maybe if it was just a fucking easy trip, that would have been okay. There, you go train there. Not this fucking far. So anyway, so the problem was the navigator basically wrecked the ship because he thought that the clouds were land. He mistaked clouds for land. So, the captain, he was in a hurry to reach the destination, okay? He wanted to get there, okay? They wanted to get the shit that they deserved. But the crew was like, Captain, maybe we should, like, chill. because like the area is filled with sandbars and the ship would be safer if we sailed further out. So the thing is, the other ships that were with them, they were okay. They were smart, okay? They were big brain. The other 3 ships kind of moved away from the shore and they lost contact with the Medusa. Now, again, the captain and this dumbass Richford, you know, the fucking navigator, were basically like, we got this! I got this! So they ignored the signs that the water around them was actually too shallow to be safe. That Rickford thought that the large bank of clouds on the horizon was Cape Blanco, and based on that miscalculation, he didn't have an accurate image of where the fuck they were going. So the Medusa ran aground around 30 millions off the coast. Sorry, 30 miles, not 30 millions, 30 miles off the coast. So even after running aground, you know, see, here's the thing. The ship, there was still the potential that the ship could have been saved. If this fucking captain had just agreed to jettison the ship's heavy cannons, you know, just lighten the load, you know, essentially, you know, just throw the shit that they didn't need. But no. He was like, I ain't doing this shit. So they still had a lot of shit. So because of that, when the Medusa was starting to show signs of breaking up, because, you know, this is an old ship, there was an evacuation plan. So they were like, okay, this shit is not gonna float. We gotta do some shit. Unfortunately, it's like they didn't learn from the... Oh, I was about to say it's like they didn't learn from the Titanic. No, this was before the Titanic. Duh. Which is kind of weird, so that means the Titanic did not learn from this. So here's the thing. There was not enough room on the lifeboats for the Medusa, because, okay, there were like 400 people in that boat. So, the governor of Senegal basically said, okay, there ain't enough boats, let's build a raft that could at least, like, you know, hold 200 people. And let's put some food there. You know, let's try to make this good. So, here's the thing. When you're about to sink and you're about to die, you ain't exactly thinking of, oh yeah, this is a good plan. You're thinking, okay, let's just fucking do it. I don't fucking care. Let's just fucking go, go, go. So, under the threat of the ship sinking, passengers were like, okay, let's fucking go. Let's make this shit. So, it wasn't exactly nice. It wasn't, you know, what you see in this painting, the raft of the Medusa, it was given that. So a lot of people were actually really hesitant to, like, you know, get on this thing. Understandably so. But, you know, one of the infantrymen was basically saying, okay, guess what? It's either you die here or I kill you. Because he was about to shoot anyone who was, like, not going. So after about 40 crew members boarded, the raft began to sink. So when they realized that their plan was not planning, passengers started throwing their provisions off, you know, overboard to make room for the people. I shit you not. And you know what kind of sucks and was so fucking annoying? During this whole kerfuffle, the governor was actually just vibing. Like, the governor was seated in his armchair and he was carried to, like, one of the lifeboats along with the rest of his family and some chests. This motherfucker, this rich motherfucker, just left in the good lifeboats while these people just stayed there to die. Many crew members actually decided to stay in the Medusa, whereas the rest chose to board the longboats, which were, like, you know, the ones that were okay. The plan was that the lifeboats would tow the raft, but the officers on those boats believed that their chances of survival would actually be better if they didn't have the raft. Yes, folks, you know where this is going. So they cut the ropes that were bound to the boats and left the fellow passengers to their doom. When the people realized what the fuck was happening, they were saying "Vive le roi," which is basically means "Long live the king," as like a way to appeal to their emotions. Like, hey, we're still loyal to the fucking king. Like, excuse me, your sense of duty? But nah, every man for himself. The custom of the sea, as they say. And if they even tried to like get on the boat, you know, the good boats, they would be threatened with swords. So imagine this, folks. You're in a situation where you either decide, do I get stabbed to death by this military person, or do I just take my chances on this raft? On the first day, passengers were already thinking, there's no fucking point. And I get it. I fucking get it. Like, many people started to, like, kill themselves. So, about a good chunk of people died. Like, if I'm not, like, about 40 to 50 people died on the first few days. So, all these people, about 200, 100 and something people, they were stranded with nothing to drink except wine. Because remember, folks, the boat was sinking, so all they really had to do was like, go, let's get the fuck, whatever the fuck we could do, let's just fucking do it. So the only thing that they actually kept was actually casks of wine. And the only food that was on the raft was actually a few biscuits. So, there you go. So, the people essentially did not really have anything. Now, you're probably asking, Jackie, when are they gonna start killing each other? There you go, folks, I'm about to get to it. So, as the wave started becoming shittier, you know, more bigger and bigger, no food, nothing at all, that's when people started to find their way to the most secure part of the raft, which was the center. So a lot of people were actually killing to get to the center. And, you know, it was either they killed or they get thrown about. So, after 3 days of being in sea, after a few days of being out in sea, that's when they started resorting to cannibalism. Because eventually the biscuits that they had ran out, the wine ran out. So first they were going like, okay, maybe we should eat the leather. Maybe let's eat the linen. Again, these are people who are fucking hungry. You are out at sea. You are facing cases of hypothermia or maybe hyperthermia. There is also like the case of like, because when you are exposed to seawater for a very long time, you're exposed to the elements, dehydration. There's a lot. So it was okay for some days at first, because sometimes they would find fish, so they would eat it. But the thing is, the fish was never enough. So that's when they decided, maybe it's time to eat the flesh of the dead people. So, like, let's just eat it. At this point, who cares? And then as time went on, like by around like a few days, only 27 of the 147 passengers actually remained. And half of those people, so half of the 27 were already dying. Well, I mean, practically everyone was dying, but you know, like they were severely injured and they were suffering from hallucinations. So that's when people decided to think, people thought, okay, you know what? If we want to make this work, if we want to survive, we're gonna have to like throw away some of these weak people. So this was when they were already on the last kegs of their wine, and again people were dying. So they were like, okay, we're gonna throw people off board. After a few more days, Argus, which was one of the ships that was sent out with Medusa, actually found the raft and found 15 survivors out of the 147. One of the survivors actually described their appearance as like, let the reader imagine 15 unfortunate men, almost naked, their bodies and faces disfigured by the scorching beams of the sun. 10 of the 15 were already hardly able to move. Our limbs were excoriated. Our sufferings were deeply imprinted on our features. Our eyes were hollow and almost wild, and our long beards rendered our appearance still more frightful. We were but the shadows of ourselves. And once everyone was on board, you know, they were given actual food. And you know, folks, good for them that they've survived, but let me just add this bit to the story, because there's actually more to this. So did you know that the captain, you know, the one who abandoned them? Captain actually did return to the site of his wrecked ship, but he wasn't there to check out if there were, like, people who survived. No. He was there to retrieve the gold that was still on board the ship. He sent a salvage crew and found that the ship was still intact. And even more surprising was that 3 of the 17 men who had decided to stay behind the frigate actually managed to survive for 54 days. But there is like, I guess a little bit of a good story to this, because, you know, the fucking captain's ineptitude and, like, his traitorous bullshit did result in him to getting court-martialed, where he was obviously found guilty. Without a shadow of a doubt, he was found guilty of incompetent navigation and for abandoning his ship before all of its passengers has made it safely off. Because, oh, remember, folks, if you're the captain, you should be the last one to go down. We know that. We've watched Pirates of the Caribbean. We know that. So, he did go to jail, even though he deserved the death penalty. But, you know, I was gonna say that this ended nice, but not really, because I just realized, yes, he did go to jail, but guess what, folks? He only served 3 years. 3 years. And that is the story of the Medusa. Kinda fucking terrible and sad, really. And, like, that's why this is, like, one of my favorite paintings. Not because of the tragedy, but because of, like, how insanely detailed and grotesque it is. Because if I'm not mistaken, the painter of this, the way he was able to capture the dead bodies was because he actually exhumed dead bodies to be able to paint them correctly. Because, folks, back in the day, if you wanted to, like, do anatomy studies, look, nobody had Atlas of Anatomy, okay? They had to resort to actually looking at real bodies. And that was the case. And that is the story of the Medusa. Wait, hold on. Okay, let me just look at, like, chat again. Sorry. Wait, where do we go? The strong lives and weak. I really like my crush. I also found out my gender. I am gender fae, gender. Good for you, Ping! I'm so happy that you found your gender identity. Congratulations. Me man said, "Excuse me, Jackie, you're not pulling my meat about the cloud part." Who's pulling what? Pulling your meat? What? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, exactly. It was token slot. It was essentially a boat battle royale. And who was recording all of this, and how did they survive this? You know what? I've always said that if I was ever put in a situation like this, I feel like I would resort to I would survive just based on spot alone. And, okay. Nine Boss said, really unsettling to think that it would have been better for them to just eat the bodies right away before the decay rot. You know what? That's true. But I feel like maybe, I'm not sure, okay, but, like, maybe the sea kind of preserved them a little bit just because of the nature of the salt in the sea. Maybe they were kind of preserved. I know, you were just there for 3 years. It's fucking nuts. And Cornelius, hey, what's up? We are, how many are we in? Oh, well, we are part in the Medusa. The next story is gonna be, oh, we actually only have, like, I think, how many more stories left? We have the Donner. Oh yeah, okay. So I have 3 more stories. The Donner Party, the Franklin Expedition, and the Andes. The Franklin is actually gonna be quite quick. The Donner Party is gonna be a little bit of a doozy, but not too much. Okay, so the Donner Party is what I would like to call a really the worst case of, but wait, it gets worse. So, just to know, like, essentially what the gist of this is, basically a bunch of pioneer people who want to go to California. They want to go to California because a dude said, his name was Lansford Hastings, basically said, hey, it's great there. So they take the journey, but they get trapped in the Rocky Mountains because of the shitty snow weather. So it starts as 87 people, and you know what? 42 people die. So that is the shortened version, but let me give a more extensive-ish version. So we have these people called Virginia Reed and other members of the Donner Reed family party. They were basically told that, hey, there's a shortcut to go to California, and that's what we call the Hastings Cutoff, because who was named after Lansford Hastings. And these people were basically like, okay, let's go, because they say that California is like a paradise and all this shit, so we should go there. So they do. Now, the problem is, so see, here's the problem. Lansford Hastings basically said that, okay, but if you're gonna go to California, you gotta make sure that you go here pretty early, like don't go pretty late, because chances are if you go pretty late, you're gonna get caught by these snowstorms and this shitty weather. Obviously, these pioneer people were like, nah, it's alright, we can go there anytime. So they do. And you know, this is a nice case of if you fuck around, you will find out. So, essentially, they get trapped. Oh wait, I forgot to mention. Remember how I said that the guy named Hastings was the one who developed this cutoff? You know, he said that you should go to California, and he developed the way and how to get there. I want to be very clear, folks. Hastings has actually never tried this pathway. He like just found a bunch of maps and said, yes, I will not test it out, but according to these maps, it should be right. Hastings was the definition of fucking around and finding out as well. Honestly, the entire story of the Donner Party is fucking around and finding out. So anyway, so that's what happened. So because they went in super late, they were caught in by the snowstorm. And I just want y'all to know that these people who are taking the journey, they're not exactly some weak shit, okay? These are like strong people who could like, who were used to traveling. Like, okay, so like to make sure that they could move faster, the women and the children, they were not always on the wagons, okay? They were like walking alongside the oxen, so that the oxen were just like basically, you know, going through, just holding the shit. So they were strong. They were not fucking around. But that's what happens when like you go in too late. So essentially, what happened was, so they eat their oxen, and they eat their dogs, and eventually it came to that point where they were like, okay, maybe we should eat the fallen dead, because there were people already dying of starvation. Starvation? No. Starvation? Were they dying of starvation and the cold? So it was pretty much I want y'all to know this was not brutal cannibalism either. This was survival cannibalism. So they would only, eat each other if like they would only eat the person if they were dead. So anyway, wait, I'm trying to read more. Where'd it go? Okay, there you go. So eventually what would happen was like every time somebody died, they would kind of pause and then they would like eat at them and then they would go back. And eventually it was a case of that all the time. You know, sometimes they would pause, and then they would eat, and then they would pause, and then they would eat. But eventually, what started as 87 people taking the journey ended up with about 42 people dying. And it was wild because, like, the way that somebody was found there was like, imagine like the people who discovered the body. Wait, sorry, no. Where was I going with this? Sorry. My brain is going everywhere since it's already been like almost 3 hours. So like, people sensationalize the Donner Party as like, oh, it's the cannibalism story, but really it was a tale of poor planning and fucking around and finding out, and basically eating other people for survival. And I want you guys to know that the way they actually ate people was actually very wholesome? Not really wholesome, but here's the thing. Somebody died, and like more than people died, like a lot of people died. What they would do is like, so this one family would eat the other, this one family would eat the flesh of the other family, so that nobody was essentially eating their family members. There you go. Yeah. So I kind of breezed through this because honestly, I mean, that's the gist that you need to know about the Donner Party. A pioneer people try to go. Wait, hold on. Okay, let me just. Cornelia said you collect cannibalism. No, I'm just saying that I like knowing about these stories. And 99bots, you know the Donner Party, hell yeah! And Chthonic Maria, sure. Hope you have a good one. And yeah. Anyway, so that's the Donner Party. We're actually almost done. We're like 2 more stories. Okay, so we have, yes. This one is also actually quite quick. So this is the Franklin expedition. So to give context, Europeans were looking for a shortcut by sea from Europe to Asia. So they were trying to look for ways. So Sir John Franklin was set to sail to explore the Arctic to find the Northwest Passage. And plot twist, they did not. So let me just go through the story. In 1845, an expedition of 129 men, led by explorer Sir John Franklin, left Great Britain for Canadian Arctic in search of the Northwest Passage. So their ships were called the HMS Erebus and the HMS Terror. And these ships never returned to British shores. So, it was speculated that the crew actually resorted to cannibalism because, well, when you're stuck. I mean, again, I think y'all notice that it is a common thing. I think how many stories have I had that with ships 1, 2, and I mentioned the Essex one too, and I mentioned that case study. There are a lot of stories of cannibalism when it involves the fucking boats for some reason. So there was actually a note left in a canister on King William Island in the central Canadian Arctic, which indicates that their ships actually got stranded in ice. But actually, there's also new evidence that suggests that Franklin's crew not only consumed the flesh of deceased compatriots, but they also cracked bones to eat the marrow inside. That's how hungry they got. So, the story was, while they were like going through this, the ship got icebound, and the weird thing is they kind of expected it. They were prepared for this. They had supplies for it just in case it happened. The problem was, they were expecting for springtime to eventually come, and it didn't, or at least it took too long. So that's why, because of that, they opted that we should probably trek to the mainland. And they did, but nobody ever found them. So it's still actually like a bit of a mystery what happened to the people of the Franklin expedition, but like according to the local Inuit, the local Inuit tribesmen's people, they did say that they found accounts of them eating each other. So, again, folks, when necessity happens, when the need arises, people will usually resort to cannibalism. When the need arises, okay? I mean, again, I feel like if people can get away with just eating biscuits and wine, they will do it. But if they have to eat people, they do. There you go. So, today I'm gonna also tell you about there are stages to cannibalism. Or actually phases. So, usually, first, people cut the flesh from the bones, where they focus on the big muscle groups. And then, when things get more terrible, that's when people start to break the bones apart to get the really rich marrow inside. The moment people start to do that, that's what we call end-stage cannibalism, which is usually the last-ditch effort to survive. The thing is, there are actual accounts that that's what happened to the doomed Franklin expedition. But I guess the weird thing is that so many people also think that it is such a weird case, because why would they resort to cannibalism when, folks, remember, I mentioned this expedition, they were prepared. They had a lot of food aboard. So, did the men just like abandon these provisions to just go inland along the back river to search for the Hudson Bay? Because nobody knows, because none of them were able to make it. But around the 1980s and the 1990s, researchers actually found remains of the crew on King William Island, and knife marks were adorned the bones, which basically implies, okay, if there are knife marks on the bones, they must have tried eating each other. And now, actually, there has been like a new analysis of like 35 bones by anthropologists Simon Mace and Owen Beatty, which they suggest that the men actually did eat each other. But again, there comes the question of like, again, we know that they ate each other out of survival, but why did they just leave their shit behind? It kind of doesn't make sense. I mean, I guess Pac lied, but like, why? I don't know. These are like some questions that sometimes I ask when I read these stories, because it's kind of weird. Anyway, before we move on to the last story, let me just read chat again. They were like, this has to be the most humane story, I guess. Actually, I do want to end this stream with like, I want to end it with the last story being my favorite story of, I wouldn't say favorite cannibalism story, but like, survival story. Okay, hold on. Not to be confused with a doner where we eat awesome non-human. What is that? Is that a kind of sausage? All the boats so far have been about... Right, exactly! A lot of this has been survival. Again, folks, when the reason why I chose these stories is because it's more about survival rather than just straight up cannibalism and shit. Emil said human bulalo, man. Oh, I love bulalo! It's one of my favorite Filipino foods. Anyway, okay. So for the last story, this is one of my favorites. This is... okay, this one will probably go a little long. So this is the story of the Andes survivors, or how the survivors of the flight disaster struggled to stay alive, which is... I want to give a little bit of context to the story. So one of the reasons why this story is so iconic to me is because when I was really young, like really fucking young, I was like 4 years old, I remember my dad, he had just come off from like watching a documentary about the Andes survivors, and I remember after he was done, he just turned to me, because I wasn't really, I mean, I was with him in the room while he was watching, but I wasn't really watching with him, I was reading a book. I remember he just turns to me and he says, "Jacqueline, if there is ever a situation where the only way for you to survive is to eat my body, my dead body, I want you to do it, sweetheart." Mind you, I was 4 years old. And I was like, okay, Dad. Sure, why not? It's still one of the most bizarre things my father ever told me. I miss him every day. Anyway, so let's get on with the story of the Andes survivors. And Lapis, we're actually at like the last story before. This is the last story. Okay. So, alright. Let me paint the picture. On October 13, 1972, a chartered twin-engine plane carrying an Uruguayan rugby team crash-landed high in the Andes Mountains. Pretty great, huh? What a great start. So, thing is, this is gonna be another case of like, hey, if you're gonna fly, make sure you fly at the specific time, because if you don't, it gets really hard to navigate. So y'all already know that that's basically the reason why this happened. So, there you go. So as the plane encountered its first signs of trouble, you see, the passengers weren't like really, they were kind of like vibing. They were like, I mean, it's okay. We're like, we're gonna go to this team. We're gonna beat their ass. We're gonna have a good time. So most of the people on board, by the way, I just want y'all to know, most of the people on board were actually teenagers and early 20s. Because the thing is, a lot of them were like, basically, they were a team traveling to play in an exhibition in Chile. So they were like, just fucking, let's fucking go, let's fucking party, okay. So everyone was chill. But suddenly, the plane hits a second air pocket, and it dropped. And suddenly, as it fell beneath a cloud cover, the passengers could see, holy fuck, that mountain is way too fucking close. So one of them, his name was Panchito Abal, asked his friend, Nando Parado, hey, this shit's kinda too close. And then Parado was like, you know, it's a vibe. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna be... That's when the world went to black. That's when it crashes. So, when they wake up, about 48 hours have passed. It's a Friday, around October 13, and the Uruguayan Air Force Fairchild F-227 just crashed into the glacial valley in the Andes. The tail was missing, because it was like, nobody knew where the fuck the tail was. It was cut away from the rest of the fuselage by the right wing, which is basically cut off after hitting the mountainside. So, 7 of those on board had actually been sucked out of the fuselage before the plane had crashed, so automatically they're dead. 4 more, including the pilot and Parado's mother, were killed upon impact. And by the time Parado actually regained consciousness, about 5 people also died. This included the co-pilot and Parado's friend, Abal, unfortunately. So from the 45, you got 29. There are 29 survivors. Alone, in the Andes, a bunch of 20-year-olds and some teenagers. And nobody fucking knew how to contact the outside world. Because where's the radio? It ain't there. Like, nobody could see the plane's wide fuselage. Because guess what? If you see it from afar, that shit's blending in with the snow. So they were kinda on their own. So, by the time their ordeal actually ended, which I'm just gonna say, they survived for 72 days. The total number of survivors went from 29 to 16. And the thing is, when they were rescued, a lot of the rescuers expected that, okay, 72 days. So these people should probably look like starving skeletons. But no, I mean, they were thinner. But it was odd because they looked like they still had some meat to them. So eventually it came to light that, yeah, we had to eat each other. They had to eat the survivors, but it wasn't, I just want to preface, like, the way they did this was not like, it wasn't frenzied. It wasn't like, they weren't like butchering, like, just bad, like, they're going to town at it. They did this in a way that was very careful. Like, they would cut the meat very carefully, they'd lay it on the plane so that it could, like, be, jerky. They were doing this in a very, you know, wholesome-ish, spiritual-ish kind of way. So the thing is, when the story got out, a lot of people actually were kind of grossed out, but eventually people started to look at this more with, like, an appreciation and, like, hopeful kind of way, because these people, these youngins, actually survived. That's why, like, this actually became known as, like, the miracle of the Andes. So, when the plane crashed, and the people were finally coming into, those with the strength and awareness to actually be a functioning human being began to tend to the seriously wounded. And can I just say, this fucking team was very lucky because they had 2 medical students in there. Not to say that the medical students knew everything, because they were like a 3rd year and a 2nd year student. But it's better than no doctor, right? Better than nothing. So what these people did was they actually piled up the airplane seats to create a shelter in the broken fuselage where they would, like, you know, chill there. They would like, okay, this is how we're gonna survive. Even though there was barely any space, that was how they kept warm. So they would use the aluminum from the seat backs to warm up the snow, and that's how they would actually provide themselves a steady stream of drinking water. So I guess the one good thing of being stuck in the snow is that they would have water, I guess. But the problem is they didn't really have much, rations. So one morning, Parado said that he did find himself cradling a single chocolate-covered peanut. On the first day, I slowly sucked the chocolate off the peanut. On the second day, I sucked gently on the peanut for hours, allowing myself only a tiny nibble now and then. I did the same thing on the 3rd day, and when I finally nibbled the peanut down to nothing, there was no food at all. So, in a very high altitude in the Andes, I'm just gonna say right now, physiologically speaking, your body is gonna be different in a higher altitude, which is exactly why it's very fascinating. If you actually look at the physiology of somebody who lives mostly in, like, a very elevated area, their blood tends to be thicker, and they tend to have, like, thicker everything. Go read about it. It's called, I think, high altitude physiology. It's very fascinating. So, in the high altitudes of the Andes, it was a matter of time before their bodies consumed themselves completely. So that's when they had only one choice. So, using the shard of the glass that was broken, that's when they started slicing thin pieces from the buttocks of the corpses, and that's when they started to eat. Some people were kind of like, I don't want to fucking do that, it's kind of gross. Because a lot of them were kind of clinging on to the hope that we'll be rescued, but then there was also a team that was like, honey, you gotta wake up and smell the roses. Nobody's gonna help us unless we help ourselves. So eventually, they just woke up to smell the roses, and they started doing, the thing where they had to survive. So, on the 18th day, again, folks, they were here for 72 days. On the 18th day, something really shitty happened. There was an avalanche that kind of buried the fuselage, which killed another 8 people. And after that happened, there were some people who were basically thinking, okay, you know what? We're eating people. How long can we do this? One of us, or some of us, really has to go down and find help. So that's when they were like, okay, we gotta do this. We may be weak, we're kinda dying, we gotta do this. So they fashioned a sled, sewed together like material from a sleeping bag, and selected only those who could make the march. So not everyone was gonna be there, okay? It was only gonna be a few people, the strongest. So after weeks of preparation and, they were like, preparation and shit, the group, initially 3, but then 2, to save resources, set off to the west in the direction of Chile. So they were, I just need you to know, they're already starving, but during this time they are fighting the cold, the crippling altitude sickness, because again, folks, your body reacts in a different way when you're in a higher elevation. This is exactly why usually when you are mountaineering, like people who hike Mount Everest, there are pit stops because your body has to acclimate to the difference in altitude. These kids did not have that time. So, fighting the cold and all that shit, they eventually ascended to the nearest peak, about 15,000 feet of it. And that's when they saw more mountains and a valley. And it was kind of terrifying. It was kind of sad. But, they kind of went on. So that's when they decided to go down the other side of the mountain. And they were forcing themselves at this point, weakening day by day. But on December 18th, that's when they heard rushing water. With that, they followed it. The next day, as they kept on following it, they found the first signs of humanity. They found a rusted soup can, a horseshoe, cow shit, a herd of cows. And then eventually, on the evening of December 20, they found a dew on the other side of the river. The following day, they were greeted by 3 more, and Parado, who was unable to make himself heard above the roar of the river, he tried to explain who he was by miming an airplane crash. And even as he was doing, he was like kind of hoping to Jesus, like it was like, oh God, I am trying to do this shit. Please do not think I am some crazy person. So instead, one of the guys, the guy who saw him, they tied a note to a rock and they threw it across the river. And then, which the note said, "Tell me what you want." And Parado began writing. He said, "I come from a plane that fell into the mountains." He explained that he and Canesa, who was one of the people he was with, were weak and starving, that 14 friends remained on the plane, and that they needed help. "When are you coming to fetch us? Please, we can't even walk. Where are we?" So as he was about to throw the rock back, he paused. Was he even strong enough to even throw this shit? But he was like, fuck it, I'll do it. So he summons the last of his strength, and he hurls the rock. And then the man basically reads it and gives a thumbs up. Basically, I got you, fam! So later that morning, another man appeared on horseback, and this time, on their side of the river. And soon they were brought into a hut, and they were fed hot food. And that's when, the police and the reporters and the helicopters, they were finally saved. So, amidst 72 days of being in the cold, inhospitable Andes rivers, they managed to survive. And that is the story of the Andes survivors. There you go, folks. There you go. So what is the moral story of this PowerPoint presentation? Folks, people are friends, not food. Unless it's survival, I guess. Okay, let me just read Chow real quick, and then we will actually wrap this up, because holy shit, that was a long one. And I know that, but 72 days in, one of the things that I like reading besides true crime, I actually really like listening about stories of survival, because I feel like it's really cool, and kind of terrifying. I think one of the things that I'm most scared of, okay, folks, I have a question. Would you guys rather be stranded in a forest, stranded in the desert, or stranded in the sea? For me, the worst case scenario is being stranded at the sea. Holy fuck. I love the ocean as much as any other person. I love the beach, but I am so terrified to get stranded by the sea. And yeah. 16 people were saved by the 29th. Who didn't? Well, some people just didn't live. The story is super sad, but hearing the name Barado keeps sticking. Parado! I meant Parado! It is quite a story, and the butts are the most edible part of this human. I think it's because it's very fatty. And Elos asked, how did you get the idea to do a stream about cannibalism? Not that I dislike the stream, I found it weirdly cool. I have a very strange fascination with anything morbid and kind of mortuary. And I've always thought that, because I've heard of stories of, it really started when I heard the story of the Andes. And that's when I thought, okay, people always label cannibalism as this like horrible thing. And I do acknowledge that nobody wants to do that. So I just wanted to dig more on like the topic, because I feel like there has to be cultural context to this. There has to be also like historical, survival context to this. Because I feel like humanity is only scared of things that they don't understand. So I always try to understand things as much as I can. Okay, hold on. People are friends, not food. That is from Finding Nemo. Anyway, you got it. Okay, good luck with your math, Ping. So 3 hours to explain how I don't want to eat people, Lapis. So Emil, that's a question you can ask your friend groups in those games. Who would you eat first if we were stuck in the Andes? I mean, okay. To answer your question, Emil, I would eat the person who's dead. I would not just straight up eat a random person who's still alive, okay? You know, I think as much as possible, I will try for all of us to survive. I don't want to kill anyone. Yeah, I was also thinking forest. Forest is like maybe the best place because it's got so many resources. Okay, folks, let me ask it then. Let me take out forest. Would you rather be stuck in the desert or stuck in the ocean? The most dangerous thing there are deer. Oh, you're lucky that the only dangerous thing there are deer. And at least getting stranded on land, you can walk in on direction, will eventually get... That is true. That is true. The idea came from when you tried to eat roach. No, Rob, no! Y'all wanna try eating people? Wait, Asicon said just eat me. Emil, I'll sacrifice myself, and God forbid I'd actually survive in the wild. Florine. Flo! Oh my god, Flo! Hey, Flo! If you hungry, would you eat me? Flo, first of all, I'm a robot. I don't need to eat. If anything, you could... No, you actually can't eat me. I feel like you can't. I don't know how Rue is able to suck my blood, but she can. And me, man, said, oh, you'd rather be in the desert. Okay, wait, you know what? Okay, let me change it. Would you rather be stuck in the desert, in the snowy mountains, or the ocean? Dora says, Jackie, can you give me your autograph? Well, I mean, you can buy some of her signed prints. I guess that's one way. Wait, hold on. Let's go to like... Let's switch to, wait, what the fuck is my... To just the chill, There we go. I hope you folks actually enjoyed. I hope you guys actually enjoyed this. I had so much fun getting to like talk about such an educational and kind of weird topic. And I know it's really out there, but I really like talking about these things. Actually, one of my stream ideas for next year is basically talking about a bunch of weird diseases, and then maybe eventually like really fucked up you know what? I'm still kind of thinking about it. I don't know if I can top cannibalism. But yeah. Thank you so much, folks, for being here. Oh wait, let me just read all your answers. Desert, Ocean? Really, Rob? You'd rather be in the ocean? Mountains. Fairy? Desert. The ocean can end my misery through being eaten by strange animals, whereas the desert, I will die from the heat or starvation. Okay. Aww. Oh my god. Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf. Of course I fucking know that. But anyway, thank you so much, folks, for being here. I hope you learned something. I will be doing more streams like this because according to the survey that I did, a lot of you folks actually voted for me to do more educational streams like this, which I really appreciate because it's something that I genuinely enjoy doing. So anyway, folks, I hope you guys have a good one. Wait. Let me just keep, wait, okay. We'll end in 2 minutes. Let me just read stuff that's going on. I'd probably just want to be stuck in a washing machine. Flo. Washing machine is not part of the... You mean you'd rather be stuck there for the rest of your life? How small are you? Emil says desert first, then ocean, then snow. Really? You'd choose... For me, I think I'd be desert, then snow, then ocean. Because ocean, like, I mean, okay, if I was stuck in the ocean, is it like Wrath of the Medusa? Or is this like, am I in a boat? So if you can eat people because you are a robot, can I eat people because I am Fae? You know what, Lapis? You should try that. Go eat the people you want to eat. What happens when a robot eats a robot? We get a virus. Maybe that's how viruses actually work. What's the next topic? I don't know, but next month is Halloween. No, it's not Halloween. It's Christmas. Sorry, it's the holiday season. So we're gonna have a lot of holiday themed shit. Jacki3. I love that. Oh my god, maybe that's what I should call it. So, Lapis, thank you for the educational. I will try eating people thanks to you. You know what? If this is my influence, I will stand by it. Okay. Oh, it wasn't that much of a nightmare. It was cool. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for being here. I hope to do more of these things in the future. Not necessarily, I guess, talking about cannibalism, but you know what? There are a lot of stories about cannibalism. I think maybe we can do a part 2. It's just me talking about more stories. But anyway, that's all for tonight, folks. I hope y'all have a good one. Have a great weekend, folks, and next week I'm just gonna say right now, folks, next week it's very loaded. It's incredibly loaded for me. I think I have a stream literally every day starting on Sunday, which is gonna be in Flo's channel. Hey, yo, we gonna ride with the Flo on Sunday. But anyway, that's all for today, folks. Peace out, hijackers, and Jacki out.